B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach, Shiur Torah, Baruch Hashem. Good to be back in Miami. I actually didn't get lost on the way today, so Baruch Hashem. Had a different tikkun today. So you always know how the shiur is going to be based on how big the tikkunim are. So I think today's going to be fun. Baruch Hashem. The shiur tonight will be for a refuah shlema. Also for Ilu Nishmat David ben Masuda, but also refuah shlema for Yitro ben Avraham, David ben Esriya, Viola bat Jora, Doris bat Jora, Elad ben Doris, Levana bat Sarah, Dvora bat Mercedes, Elisheva Chaya bat Sarah. What was the Rebbe's mom's name you wanted me to say? Huh? Sarah Rivka Rabinowitz, refuah shlema, and all of Am Yisrael B'ezrat Hashem will have refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf. So yesterday we had a nice laugh. We learned a little bit, Baruch Hashem. Also laughed a little bit, and it's good. It's good to laugh a little. We have the Lubavitcher Rebbe said that. When Adar comes in, the Gemara says, Marbim besimcha. When from the beginning of Adar, you're supposed to be happier. So when you have Adar Aleph and Adar Bet, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Alav Shalom, said that if someone exerts themselves, make sure that they're happy every single day for 60 days straight during Adar Aleph, Adar Bet. It's a special sgula to get rid of many, many problems and have miracles performed in their life. So, of course, it's a special sgula to be happy every single day. It's called Torah. You learn Torah, you be happy. But if you haven't yet tasted the sweetness of Torah, or you have a special tikkun that's causing you to be upset for whatever reason or another, this is the time to get over it. This is the time that you have to work hard to get over it. And there are different things that you can do to be happy. Most importantly, it's learn Torah. Learn Torah. Second of all, always realize that whatever situation you're in right now, it's not permanent. It's only permanent if you make it permanent. Whatever situation you have, no questions asked. It doesn't make a difference what you have. Whether it be a financial issue, health issue, mental issue, whatever it is, nothing is permanent unless you decide for it to be permanent. Not based on your decision psychologically meaning you decide not to do anything about it. Hashem decides what's going to actually end up happening. But if you decide not to do anything about it, then what do you want Hashem to do? You decide you like to be miserable. So what is Hashem going to make you not miserable? Meaning we have to have some ishtadlut. We have to have ishtadlut in order for Hashem to get involved. And we see this across the entire Torah. Across the entire Torah we see anytime somebody made ishtadlut to do the will of Hashem, the reward that they got was extraordinary. Now today is also the Ilula of Moshe Rabbeinu and Zchuto Tagen Aleinu, our holiest of holy rabbis, holiest of holy prophets. Lo kam ke Moshe. There's no one has ever like Moshe, not before him, not after him, not even the Mashiach. Not even the Mashiach is going to be like Moshe Rabbeinu. So much so that the Zohar Kadosh says that Moshe Rabbeinu is sitting up there in Shamayim in heaven, right next to Hashem Yitbarach. Hashem Yitbarach has a throne of glory. He has a seat right next to him, Moshe Rabbeinu. things like this is hard to understand. Hard to understand the Gdula of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, I told you yesterday that who saved Moshe Rabbeinu? Are you going to say Hashem? Of course Hashem. Same, but in physically, like the things that we can see with our eyes. Who? Batya bat Pharaoh. Batya bat Pharaoh. Batya. What's her name, Batya? But it's not. Her name was not Batya. Her father was Mustafa. It's Pharaoh. What? He's going to call her name. The daughter is named Batya. No, it's not her real name. That's not how she was born. Her father, Pharaoh Rasha, used to murder 300 babies every day, take their blood and bathe in them. Every day. Just like every day. You take a shower, you put some water, put a little bit of head and shoulders on, some Pert Plus, a little soap, everything, right? A little thing. Pharaoh Rasha, 300 Jewish babies, slaughtered, take their blood, fill up a tub. That's a shower every day. Why? He had a skin disease. He had tzarat. And his necromancer said that the only cure for his tzarat is the blood of Jewish babies. Every day, imagine, every day, 300 pure, beautiful kids murdered for this Rasha Merusha to take a shower. The zva'ah, the horrors that happen, if you read the Midrashim, you read the Gemarot, you read what Chazal said about what happened in Mitzrayim, you see that what happened in the Holocaust is not the worst thing that ever happened. Horrible, of course. Horrendous. We cry about it till this day. But it's not worse than what happened in Mitzrayim. It's not worse than what happened in Bet HaMikdash. Much, much worse things happened. But we remember the Holocaust. Why? Because we have pictures of the Holocaust, and we have family from the Holocaust, and Shem Yerachem. The point is, Rabotai, is that in every generation we had some type of disaster, some type of Haman, some type of Pharaoh, some type of Hitler, some type of wicked, horrible person that Hashem gave him the stick to hit us with. This Rasha Pharaoh took 300 babies every day, killed them. He gave everybody quotas. You have to make a certain amount of blocks every day. You don't make the quota, instead of the block that you missed, we're going to put your baby instead. So in the pyramids, inside the blocks inside the walls, there's bones. Why the bones? It's not buried. There's living Jewish kids. This, Rabotai, is what happened to us. We need to know this stuff. I know it's graphic. I know it's horrible. I know maybe give you some nightmares, but you need to know this stuff. You need to teach your kids this stuff. Why? If you don't know where you came from, how are you going to know where you're going? So, the big thing about Pharaoh is that his ga'ava was the biggest ga'ava that ever existed in the world. No one was more prideful than him. Even the people like Nebuchadnezzar, Yimach Shimo v'zichro, or Hitler, Yimach Shimo, or all the other Reshaim that happened, still were not as bad as Pharaoh. Why? They thought they're great, but they served an idol. Meaning, they took a little Buddha statue. They bought from CVS, and they prayed to it. Meaning that they figured that the Buddha statue, the cow, the snake, the something is bigger than them, so they're gonna get special blessings from it. Pharaoh prayed to himself. Pharaoh said he's God. Pharaoh got to a level of ga'ava. He said, I created myself. So he created. That's why in all of the buildings there in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, you're not going to find one place with a bathroom. There's no bathrooms. No bathrooms in the castle over there. Why no bathrooms? Because a god doesn't go to the bathroom. You have to prove everybody's God. He says, I don't go to the bathroom. You humans go to the bathroom. This is why Hashem gave the secret to Moshe Rabbeinu. What's the secret? He has to go to the bathroom. He's a human. He's not really God. He just thinks he's God. He's a moron. So what does he do? He made a law. No one's allowed to leave the house after 3 o'clock in the morning. Why? That's when he would go to the Nile River and do his business in the water. Nobody would see, and everybody said, oh, look, there's no bathroom, so he must be God. Yeah, he's stupid. They're stupider. Maybe they're all going to go to join the guerrillas in Rwanda. I'm going to tell you something chidush about that gorillas in Rwanda shortly. Anyway, I have a special playlist on my channel. It's a private one. I don't think I made it public. It's full of specific videos proving the world is completely nuts. Completely nuts. A couple of new ones were added yesterday. After the shiur, you find how stupid people are. And you say, Baruch Shelo Asani Goy. Well, you have to know how stupid people are. Why? Because it could be you. It could be you. If you don't learn Torah, it'd be you. A lot of these people, unfortunately, are Jewish. So Pharaoh was one of these fools that got to such a high level of gava. He told people he's God. He would hide his business by going to the Nile River, but that's why every time Moshe Rabbeinu would go meet him, Hashem says, go to him babukir. What's babukir? Early morning. Early morning, he would go meet him at the river. Why? While he's going to the bathroom, Moshe Rabbeinu says, hey, God, how are you, God? Hey, Gadi, how you doing? Gods don't go to the bathroom, I thought. What happened? Now the river's starting to smell. What is that? Where's the bubbles? Embarrass him right on the spot, showing him that he's a nothing, and we know his secret. Now imagine being raised in this house. This is your father, Shem Menachem. This is what you have to look up to. So he tells his daughter, I'm God. His daughter, Abba, last week you had a toothache. 2 weeks ago, stomach ache. The other day you threw up in the middle of the dinner. The other day you overslept. You constantly have gas problems. Your back hurts. Your teeth are falling off. What God are you? What are you talking about? This shtuyot that you have. He says, shut up. It's good for business. He told her, be quiet. Don't tell nobody. It's good for business for me to be God. So Batya Bat Paro says, this is insanity. He's not God, but somebody has to be God. Where do we come from? Somebody has to be God. Same question that Avraham Avinu asked. Who's God? Started looking for the truth. She went to the Nile. Hashem uncovered himself, showed himself to her. Because he saw that she's looking for the truth. You're looking for the truth? Here I am. Here I am. Baila Ba'ala Bira. The Ba'ala Bait, the owner, showed himself. Said, oh, you're looking for me? I'm God. She says, I want to join your people. Yeah, my people are slaves. You're the daughter of the king. Well, you want to be a slave? She goes, I'd rather be with the slaves and safek that I'll make it through the week. Doubtful I'll make it through the week, but I'd rather be with them, get killed with the slaves, than continue living with this liar. Continue living with this lie, with all the gold and the money and this and that. Hashem says, if you want to do that, go into the mikveh. She goes into the mikveh, she goes into the water. Hashem gives her a present. What's the present? First present. He says, you have a new name. Your name is Batya. What's Batya? Daughter of God. Why? Your father's no longer your father. You're not related to him anymore. That's the halakha, actually. That's actually the halakha, believe it or not. The Rambam says when a person converts, he gets a brand new neshama, she gets a brand new neshama. Their biological parents are no longer their spiritual parents. They're biological, obviously. They came out of their bodies, but they're not their spiritual parents anymore. They get a new neshama. Now they become a descendant of Avraham and Sarah. That's why you say, anytime you say a blessing, and who is the father of a convert? Avraham and Sarah. For men you say Yitro ben Avraham. For Batya you say Batya bat Sarah or bat Avraham. Why? Because that's actually their new parents. That's their new parents. But Batya actually got even more so. She said she's daughter of God. So what, she's the only one? No. Rambam says that a Jew is obligated to love another Jew. It's a mitzvah in the Torah. Has to love another Jew. Has to love another Jew like himself. You have to love. But a convert is to love him a different love. What's the love for a convert? He has to love a convert like he loves God. That's the love for a convert. 36 times it's mentioned in the Torah to protect, love the convert, treat them well. It's mamash sakanat nefashot to mess with converts. I don't understand why people do it. Why people like to torture converts. It doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe they didn't read the Torah, I don't know. So, you see a lot of times disasters happen, Hashem Yachem, people call me, sometimes they're converts, and they tell me different things that they're enduring, different problems they're dealing with. And I tell myself all the time, it wouldn't be a surprise to me if something happens to those people that are torturing them. And as you would know, something always happens at some point. A month later, their kid gets cancer. 6 months later, the wife wants to divorce them. A year later, some other disaster happens. They lose all their money. They're like, oh, why is God doing this to me? What do you mean, why is God doing this to me? You're lucky you're alive. Hashem says in the Torah, you make my converts cry, I'm going to kill you with the sword. Mamash, he says, the pasuk in the Torah. You mess with my converts, I'm going to kill you with my sword. If they cry, I'm going to kill you with my sword. Hashem says, I'm not going to send somebody else. I, me, myself, I'm going to kill you with my sword. So dangerous to mess with converts. You have to do everything you can to help them. But if they're real converts, not the fakers. Fakers throw them in the garbage. With the fish you didn't eat. Fakers, they're not nothing. Real ones I'm talking about. Real converts. Fakers are not even Jewish. And they're not even goyim. They're nothing. Why? Because there's plenty of good goyim. Plenty of decent goyim. The righteous Noahites, tzaddikim. Help Am Yisrael do tshuva, donate, publicize KIRUV, do everything they can, mesiut nefesh. Plenty of good goyim. I know some people, some goyim, honestly, I pray for them to convert because they're so good, we want more of them. We want them to join us. But sometimes they can't. It's fine, no problem, they still go to Gan Eden. But a faker, a fake convert, it's the worst of the worst. Worst of the worst. So, Batya converted. Hashem says, you're my daughter. Here's another gift. There's a little baby crying down the road. It's a little baby. Batya, so he's 15 amot. 15 amot is approximately 30 feet. He's 30 feet away. He's in the middle of the river. Where did Miriam, his mom, where did she release the little basket? It says in the pasuk, did she put it in the middle of the water or she put it right next to the shore? She put it right next to the shore. She didn't put it in the middle of the water. So how did he get to the middle of the water? Hashem put him in the middle of the water. Why? He wanted to show us the miracle. If he put it and Moshe Rabbeinu arrived all the way at the shore just in her lap, then he'd say, oh yeah, happenstance, it happened. She got lucky, she found him. No, he was 30 feet away. How's she going to get him? How's she going to get him? Batya went like this. That's it. Why? How big is our, how long is our arm? 1 amma. 1 amma is our arm. 1 amma. How far was he? 15 amot. Now you can do the math. There's 14 missing. So what'd she do? She went like this. Hashem says, you're trying to do something about it? Magically, miraculously, on the spot, the Gemara says, Hashem extended our arm 15 amot. She got him right back to me. On the spot. Why? You tried. You tried doing something about it. You heard the Nile. You heard the Nile crying. You heard the lad crying. His voice, even though he was a baby, was like the voice of a teenager. You heard him crying, you tried doing something about it. Now you knew logically you can't reach, but you still did this. You did this, that showed me you understand you have to contribute. You have to have ishtadlut. But in reality, the success only depends on Hashem. If you only do things because you know you can succeed in them, don't do them. Why? Because you're leaving everything in your own hands. Don't just do that. Do things even if you don't know how you're going to succeed in them. Why? Because that's obviously showing that you believe in God. Don't just do things that it's obvious you're going to succeed. Don't start a business if you know for sure you're going to succeed in it. Don't go for a goal that you know for sure you're going to succeed in it. Don't learn just enough. I know I'm going to succeed in it. No, go for more. Push. Don't say, oh yeah, today I'm going to read a half a daf. Half a daf Gemara. Okay, it's good. Chazak Baruch. Why did you pick a half a daf? No, because I know for sure I can do a half a daf. I do a half a daf in 15 minutes, half hour, 2 hours. I do a half a daf. So how come you're only going for half a daf? Half a page. Why? Because I know for sure I can do it. Yeah, so why are you only going for that if you know for sure? Go for one. Go for a full. Yeah, but I don't know if I'll succeed. Exactly. Go for it. Go for it. And show Hashem, I want to do it. I know for sure I can do a half. I don't think I can do one. But I'm going to go for one. Why? Because I want to see Siyata Dishmaya. I want to see I want Hashem to help me. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, when somebody studies Torah, mamash, seriously studies Torah, Hashem becomes his chavruta. Hashem becomes his chavruta. You want Siyata Dishmaya, you go for it. You have to go for the things that are bigger than you. Don't go for the things that are obvious only. Because Hashem requires us to have ishtadlut. Why? Because in reality, everything is Him. Everything is Him. All success is Him. It's not like it's 99% Him and 1% us. No. Make no mistake about it. It's 100% Him. But He wants us to try to have some ishtadlut, some effort, to show that we have an intention to succeed. But we really know it's only Him. So Batya Bat Paro gets Moshe Rabbeinu. She gets to raise Moshe Rabbeinu. And until this day, almost 3,400 years later, she gets the benefit from this ishtadlut. Every day she gathers a few tzadikot in Gan Eden. She says, come on, let's go see my son. Who's your son? Moshe. Yeah, but I thought you were... Moshe is my son. She goes to the Echad. She goes to see the Kisei HaKavod and Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? I raised them. I went like this. I went like this. I raised them. All the other babies her father was killing, she saved Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? Because she made a choice that most people wouldn't even think about doing, even in their imagination. She was willing to become a slave instead of a princess. That's the big choice. It wasn't about going into a pool of water and Chazak Baruch. Go for a pool of water for free. It wasn't to keep Shabbat. Keep Shabbat. Some people keep Shabbat without even knowing it. They sleep the whole day. It wasn't about that. It was about the fact that she made a choice that she'd rather die with the slaves, but being part of the slaves, than live with the heretics, idol worshippers that she called her family. Until that day. This gives us mussar every day. This is the type of stuff you're supposed to think about. That's why a Jew can never be bored. If you think about our Avot HaKadoshim, our Imaot, you think about where do we come from? Where do you come from? Who's your grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather? Each one of us is related to one of the biggest giants in history. Or the biggest giants in history. Each one of us is related to Avraham Avinu. Doesn't get better than that. Yitzchak Avinu was willing to die. For what? Hashem said, listen, bring him to the, as a korban. Didn't make any sense. Didn't make any sense. Doesn't have to make any sense. Why? Hashem said it. If I'm only going to do it if it makes sense, it's not even a mitzvah. Rav Moshe Feinstein, Allah Shalom, says, don't do mitzvah because it makes sense to you. Why? Hashem doesn't want that kind of mitzvah. So much so that if a goy keeps the Sheva Mitzvot Bnei Noach, the 7 Noahide laws, but only because it makes sense to him. The Rambam says not only he's not considered a righteous goy, he's actually considered a fool, but he doesn't go to Gan Eden. Doesn't go to Gan Eden. Why? He did it because it makes sense to him. He didn't kill people because it makes sense to him not to kill people. He didn't eat living animals because, I don't know, it seems vicious. It made sense to him not to be vicious. It made sense to him. He didn't commit adultery because he likes his wife. Because it makes sense to him to be with one woman at a time. Makes sense to him. Rambam says Not only he's not considered anything, he doesn't even get Gan Eden. Nothing he gets. Zero. He's considered a fool. Only way the Goy gets Gan Eden is if he keeps the Noahide laws because God said it in the Torah. God said it in the Torah. Chazaku Baruch. That's why you did it. Perfect. Not because it made sense to you. If it made sense to you and because of God said it, fine, no problem. But it has to be because God said it. What do you think? If the Goy is obligated to such an extent, you think it's anything different for a Jew? Kal v'chomer. A Jew has to keep the mitzvah because God said it, not because it makes sense to you. There's plenty of mitzvah that don't make sense. That's why the Chachamim say the only reason why a person should follow the Torah is simply because God said so. That's where Yirat Shamayim comes in. So we see that Moshe Rabbeinu was surrounded by giants. You don't get to be the foster mother of Moshe Rabbeinu just like that. The Gaon Mivina Alav Shalom writes in his book, one day when he was already older, an old woman, comes to him in his dream. She says, please, if you remember me, I was your nursery teacher. I was your nursery teacher. And I died recently, and my kids are not saying Kaddish for me. My kids, they don't know. Please. As a karata tov, I used to change your diaper when you were a little baby, before you became Gaon Mivina. Before you became Gaon, before you became Gedol Ador, before you became a giant among giants, before you were a little baby. You were a little baby, you used to change your diaper in the preschool. Please, Hakarat Tov, say Kaddish for me. The Gaon Mivina took it very seriously. Immediately as he woke up, he started saying Kaddish for her every day. Shachrit, Mincha, Arvit, Shachrit, Mincha, Arvit, Shachrit, Mincha, Arvit, Shachrit, Mincha, Arvit. A week later, she comes to him, stop, please, stop it. No more Kaddish, please. Why? What happened? Is something wrong? She goes, every time you say Kaddish, they bring me a higher level in Gan Eden. I'm at the Tanaim. I don't understand what's going on. They're learning things. I don't know what's going on. He writes in his book. Every time you say Kaddish about me, I'm going a higher level in Gan Eden. It's too much for me. I don't know what's going on. They're saying that all these stuff in Torah, it's too high. Enough. He writes it in the book. Why? Shows us, number one, Hakarat Tov. Somebody changed your diaper 50 years ago. You owe them Hakarat Tov. Somebody gave you a ride. You owe them Hakarat Tov. Somebody showed you the truth. You owe them Hakarat Tov. Moshe Rabbeinu did not want to hit the ocean, the river, and turn it into blood. Why? He says the river didn't drown me. What, is the river's job to drown you? Not necessarily. It's just the river. It doesn't have feelings. It doesn't matter. If I turn it into blood, it looks bad. Why? It didn't kill me. Why should I go? Aaron had to do it. Why? You have to have a karata tov. Gratitude. A lot of people don't know what gratitude is. They think they do because they say thank you. They say thank you, or they text you thank you. Thank you doesn't mean a karata tov. That's just words. So, in the Hilula of Moshe Rabbeinu, we see that even within the story of Moshe Rabbeinu, you see that there's an enormous amount of mussar we can learn from it. The ishtadlut of Batya bat Pharaoh, the mesirut nefesh of Moshe Rabbeinu, and the secrets are in plain sight. All you have to do is go after it. So if a person starts thinking about this while he's going through a difficult time and he's having a hard time being happy, think about who your grandfather is, who your great-grandfather is. That alone should make you happy. People get happy because they met some basketball player. They met some basketball player to put it on Facebook. Oh, look, I met Michael Jordan. Look, and he has a picture with him, as if Michael Jordan wants to take a picture with him. I bet you Michael Jordan doesn't have a picture of you on his page. You took the picture, you put it on your page. He doesn't have it on his page. He didn't ask you for an autograph. People get so happy because they met some basketball player, they met some football player, they met some movie star. They get so happy. For what? What are you so happy about? What did he do to you? Why? Think about who you're related to. You're related to Avraham Avinu. You're related to Yitzchak Avinu. You're related to Yaakov. Yaakov, the perfect human being. On the Kisei HaKavod of Hashem, there's 4 dmuyot. There's 4 images. 4 images. 4 kings. Who? The eagle, king of the birds. The bull, king of all the cattle. The lion, king of the animals. And human being, king of all of mankind. What does the human being look like? Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu's image is on Kisei HaKavod. That's why when Yaakov Avinu was sleeping, after 14 years of not sleeping, he went to sleep. The Malachim, says Malachim Olim v'yordim bo. The angels were going up and down, up and down. Why up and down, up and down? He said, how could he be here when he's there? He's on Kisei HaKavod. No, he's down here again. No, he's here. Where? He's over there. No, he's here. How? I see him over here. I see him over there. How could he be in both places? How is Yaakov Avinu here and there? They're confused. Malachim were confused. Yaakov Avinu, Kodesh Kodashim, your grandfather. You're proud of some basketball player, some autograph you got. Just think about the absurdity of people. You just think about, that's my grandfather, Yaakov Avinu, Moshe Rabbeinu, Aaron HaKohen, David HaMelech. David HaMelech, this is Melech Mashiach comes from David HaMelech. Who's better than you? All 8 billion people in the world saying, yeah, they're saying their idol's going to come. He came, he left, he died, he lived. All the nonsense in the world, but everybody says one day there's going to be an end. Everybody, all religions, all people, even the atheists believe there's going to be an end of the world. Some believe there's going to be a savior. Some believe we're all going to turn into cockroaches. Either way, the point is, everybody believes there's going to be some type of an end. Majority of people believe there's going to be a Mashiach. You're related to him. Who's better than you? Is there it's not like, oh yeah, one day maybe I'll live to see the Mashiach. Yeah, I wonder who he is. What do you mean who he is? It's my grandfather. It's my grandfather. What's the... you don't know? It's my grandfather. Automatically should make you happy. Look what kind of family you come from. Look what kind of family you come from. Your grandfather's the Mashiach. It's the Melech Mashiach. Who's better than you? That alone, Rabotai, should make every single Jew that connects to his Judaism happy. That alone. But you're not going to do all of that unless you learn Torah. Unless you learn the Torah. Unless you learn the Torah Kedosha, it makes you happy. Even through difficulty. Difficulty happens in everybody's life. But when you learn Torah, you see that the difficulty has a purpose. The pain has a purpose. The agony has a purpose. It's all part of the grand plan of Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's all part of his plan. What are you complaining about? What are you so upset about? It's not permanent, this pain. This financial struggle is not permanent. This feeling of emptiness because of some relationship problem, job problem, any other problem, it's not permanent. And that's the number one thing that a person needs to know when they're dealing with difficulty, is that the difficulty is not permanent. If it's not permanent, that means it will be over. If it's going to be over, why are you wasting so much energy being upset about it? By the time you finish being upset, it's over. So what was the point of being upset? You might as well already start celebrating now. Why? It's going to be over. Before you know it, it's over. Before you know it, the pain's gone. Before you know it, you found a new job. Before you know it, you're married. You have another little 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids. Shtabach Shemo, why are you so upset? Yeah, but it took so long to find a shidduch. You think any happy wife thinks about such a thing? You think any happy wife says, oh yeah, took so long to find a shidduch after she already has 2, 3 babies in the house with a happy marriage? Never. She doesn't even think about the shidduch. All the agony of finding the shidduch, she forgot about it. It's gone. So why are you going to be upset about it? For what? For what purpose? What's it going to do for you? It's not permanent. If it's not permanent, it's going to be over soon. It's in your hands, though. It's in your hands, meaning that you have to have your ishtadlut to do something about it. Give Hashem an incentive, if you will, to expedite it. Expedite this whole thing. Show him you know everything is in his hands. Pass the test. As soon as you pass the test, guess what? Test is over. Once you pass the test, they're going to give you, you passed the test? Okay, but can you just stay around the class for another 2 hours? Yeah, but I finished the test. What am I going to do it for 2 hours? Yeah, but everybody else is still taking the test. Okay, so let them take the test. Why do I have to suffer because they're still here for another few hours? I'm finished. God doesn't work like public schools. You finish the test, go home. Next. Pass the test. You pass the test, finished. You move on with your life. Go on to something good. But as long as you're miserable about it, depressed, you cry about it, guess what? Not only are you not passing the test, you're failing it. Not only you're failing it, you're making it worse for yourself. Tests last longer. It was supposed to be for a week. You caused it to be for 1.5 years. Don't go blame Hashem. Oh, Hashem, why are you doing this to me? Hashem says, I already left 1 year ago. You're the one that's doing it to yourself. I gave you a test for a week. You chose to be in a class for 1.5 years. If you would have just simply done what you were supposed to do, you would have done Teshuva, you would have done Chatanu Avinu Pashanu, started learning what I said, started doing what I said, you would have passed the test, finished after a week. You decided to cry every day for 1.5 years. Tell every single person you know how hard my life is? You know how hard my life is? You know how hard my life is. By the time you finish telling all of your friends, family, their friends, the neighbors, and everybody else that misery loves company, by the time you finish telling everybody your life story, guess what? 1.5 years passed. You told all your Facebook friends, you have 5,000 friends. Some people write about their personal life on Facebook. I never understood such a thing. And they start telling you, mamash, real serious details. These people, mamash, they're not only going through struggle, they're losing their mind too. They start telling people about their personal lives on Facebook. Who are these people? Oh, they start saying, hi, Facebook family. What Facebook family? What are you talking about? You think these people will say hello to you if they see you on the street? You want to know who's your family? Somebody is going to help you when no one else wants to help you. Help you move. Help you with money. Cry with you. Feel your pain. You think any of those words? All they do is write text because they also have nothing to do. Facebook family, Alik. By the time he finished telling his 5,000 friends on Facebook that he's struggling with his wife, he's struggling with his job, he's struggling with his this, he's struggling with his that, guess what? The 1 week test turned into 1.5 years. Because he had to respond to all the comments. Oh, I'm with you. Oh, I'm praying for you. Oh, yeah, I understand. Then guess what happens? There's always another one. Oh, you think you have it bad? And they start telling them, they tell them their story. And then you have one guy's comment. The poor guy was just looking for a little bit of attention. His girlfriend just left him. His dog just died. He lost his job. So he's like, oh yeah, my dog died. Then the next thing, now you have 150 comments of all the other people their dog died. Everybody starts commiserating. Yeah, but my dog was better. But my dog died here. No, my dog got hit by a car accident. My dog had heart failure. My dog this, my dog that. Next thing you know, this guy is on the same comment, same thing, for 3.5 weeks. And then he complains to Hashem, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Hashem has nothing to do with it. Who told you to publicize your problems on the internet? At least give a shiur and publicize your problems. So the thing is, the Rabotai, is that Hashem gives us a test. He wants us to pass it. He's cheering us up. He's cheering us on. But sometimes we make it worse for ourselves. So the Lubavitcher Rebbe Alav Shalom says, if you have a problem, right now is the time to overcome it. You have a serious problem, whatever it is. Right now is the time to overcome it. Think about who you're related to. Think about who your Father in heaven is. Think about that you have in your hand the holiest thing on earth called the Torah, the purpose of creation. Something that Hashem Yitbarach says himself, I cannot separate myself from the Torah. Hashem says. He has everything. He says, Torah, I can't separate myself from. If he can't separate himself from the Torah, only a fool separates himself from the Torah. You have the Torah. You have the grandparents. You have Mashiach. You have the understanding that the problem is not permanent. You have proofs in the Torah that problems are not permanent. And there's an endless amount of things that you can see throughout your own life of how previous problems you've had that you thought were going to be permanent were resolved in a much better way than you could ever imagine. You thought that you're going to die from starvation, and the next day you got a job making more money than the previous job. No. Was it worth it crying about money for all that time that you didn't have it for the whole day and a half because you got fired? One door closed because Hashem wanted to open a better one for you. So if a person listens to this, he understands this, he delves on it, he mamash puts his head down, puts our head down, stops crying for themselves and feeling sorry for themselves, and focuses on all the good they have in their life, they're going to start becoming happy instantly. The next day, the domino effect. Now they're even happier. Why? Because they're thinking about everything they thought about yesterday and the results of what happened today. And if you focus on it for these 60 days, the Lubavitcher Rebbe says you're going to have some serious miracles in your life. When a tzaddik says something, we take it into account. We don't listen to these fools that say he's still alive and he's Mashiach. That's craziness. He's a tzaddik. We should listen to what he says. They don't say things for no reason. There's a lot of good things that you can learn. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe is one of the recent Gdolei Ador that you can learn a lot from. But again, always make sure that there's some type of verification of these tzaddikim say, because sometimes people say, oh yeah, tzaddik said something he never said. A lot of people put, their idea and then some tzaddik's name on it. You always have to have some sources for this stuff. Anyway, Rabotai, we see that we're supposed to be happy every day. But there are certain specific times we should try to do a little bit more. But how do you get this when it comes to Torah, for example? Why should it make you happy? What's so special about it? And that's really what the Mishnah is about. The Mishnah in Avot that we're up to, chapter 6, Mishnah number 7, is in essence trying to give us different verses from the book of Proverbs, from Mishle, that anyone that spends a little bit of time thinking about it, it's enough one verse already to cheer you up. It's enough as one verse to give you energy. You have several verses in this Torah that we're going to go into, Bezat Hashem, a few more of them today, and see how rich we really are. How rich we really are that we're actually here in a shiur Torah at 10 o'clock at night, learning a Torah Kedosha. How rich we really are that we actually have a relation to the King of Kings by his Torah. גדולת תורה שהיא נותנת חיים לעושיה בעולם הזה ובעולם הבא. שנאמר כי חיים הם למוצאם ולכל בשרו מרפא. ואומר רפאות היא לשריך ושיקוי לעצמותיך. ואומר עץ חיים היא למחזיקים בה ותומכיה מאושר. ואומר כי לוויית חן היא לראשך וענקים לגרגרותיך. ואומר תיתן לראשך לוויית חן עטרת תפארת תמגנך. ואומר כי בי ימיך ויוסיפו לך שנות חיים. ואומר אורך ימים במינה לשמאלה עושר וכבוד. ואומר כי אורך ימים ושנות חיים ושלום יוסיפו לך. Translation: Great is the Torah, for it confers life upon its practitioners, both in this world and the world to come. As we talked about yesterday, this is pretty much what we got up to, that a person that lives in Torah doesn't only benefit in this heaven that few of us understand. Really, none of us understand, but few of us understand that there's good there. But a person doesn't only get Gan Eden over there, but a person that's really glued to Torah gets Gan Eden in this world. Because in an instant, you distinguish yourself from all of creation, where while all of us struggle, everybody struggles. Almost 7.5 to 8 billion people in the world, there's not a single one of them that's not struggling. Every single creature on earth is struggling. Everything. Every person. But the Jew that connects to the Torah and lives the Torah is different. Why is he different? Why is she different? Because while everybody else is struggling and they have no idea why, and they have no idea when it's going to end or if it's going to end, the Jew knows. The Jew knows why. It's part of the mission. It's part of the purpose of the world. It's a test. It's Hashem Yoav, Hashem Yochiach. Shlomo HaMelech says, Hashem loves somebody, he rebukes them. Meaning, he gives them a test. Gives them a difficulty. Why? I'm trying to build you. Trying to build you to be something special. A diamond doesn't come out of the ground cut. It comes out as an ugly looking rock that looks like a glass. I saw my father, my family is all in the diamond business. I remember when I was a kid, my father used to deal with rough diamonds. And one time I was maybe 6 years old, 7 years old. My father came home with this diamond, and he showed it. It was a really big, rough diamond. And he showed it to me and my brothers, and we all thought it was pretty cool. But there was like a glass. Like we didn't think it was worth anything. So it's a piece of glass, but he told us, "Oh, this is this, this is that." We're all little kids. So I held it in my hand. I'm like, I wanted to throw it in the air. So, oh, why? It's a piece of glass. I didn't know that this rock could turn into, after you cut it, and you pressure, and this, and you cut it again, 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 and again, and again, and again. Eventually it's going to reflect the light in such a fantastic way, it becomes very valuable. But what do you think? Even that diamond, before getting cut and becoming very pretty, even before that to become a diamond, required a lot of pressure. For a Jew to become a diamond, for a Jew to become the Jew that he can be, for Moshe Rabbeinu to become Moshe Rabbeinu, he had to go through a lot of difficulty, a lot of struggle. He had to be in the same house, same bed as one of the most beautiful women in the world and not touch her even once. He had to overcome his anger. He had to overcome bad midot. You don't become Moshe Rabbeinu just because you're related to Avraham Avinu. A lot of people are related to Avraham Avinu. Ishmael is related to Avraham Avinu. Ishmael is related to Avraham Avinu. And Mustafa, selling falafel down the street, also related to Avraham Avinu. But guess what? Mustafa, if he continues bowing to his Muhammad, he doesn't go to Gan Eden. If he continues sending money to Iran, continues sending money to Pakistan, for them to terrorize the children of Israel, guess what? He doesn't get Gan Eden. His relation to Avraham Avinu is an embarrassment. It's not a plus. He gets an extra punishment for it. Esav's brother was Yaakov Avinu. His father was Yitzchak. Grandfather was Avraham Avinu. It doesn't get better than that. Esav doesn't go to Gan Eden. His great descendant, the Roman Empire, they have no Gan Eden. When they joined forces with the Christians, took a heretic Jew called Jesus and made him into their God. What do you think? Any of them got Gan Eden? They replaced God with their nonsense? their relation to Avraham Avinu, their relation to Yitzchak Avinu, their relation to Yaakov, is another reason for them to get punished. A lot of people tell me, oh yeah, my grandfather was a rabbi. My grandfather also was a rabbi. My great-grandfather was Moshe Rabbeinu. Doesn't mean anything if you don't do anything about it. If you do something about it, Chazak Baruch. So, a person that connects to the Torah Kedosha gets the benefit of it in this world and the next. In this world, because he sees that all of these problems that everybody is going through have a reason, including his own problems, including our own problems. They're part of the bigger plan. Hashem wrote about them in the Torah. Hashem wrote about them in the Torah. You're going to have problems. You're going to have problems. That's life. If you don't have problems, you should check your pulse. Check your pulse. There's something wrong. You have to have problems. The difference between a Jew and everybody else is the Jew has an answer to all of his problems. What's the answer? Torah Kedosha. Torah Kedosha is the answer to all the problems. And some people say, yeah, no, come on, you're exaggerating. It's too much. How could it be? How could Torah solve cancer? How could the Torah solve financial crisis? How could the Torah solve marriage crisis, relationship crisis, shidduch crisis? Everything's a crisis today. That's the problem. You think that the Torah is a regular book. Once you understand that it's not a regular book, it's divine, it comes from God, everything changes. So, first and foremost, look at all of the people that you see in your life, or you know in your life, that are not connected to Hashem. If you know them well, not if you know that they exist. Anyone that you know well, somebody you spend a lot of time with, guaranteed to be miserable. Guaranteed. I don't even have to know them. Guaranteed that they're miserable. Guaranteed that they won't stop complaining. Guaranteed they're contemplating divorce, or they already got divorced. Guaranteed that they have some major, major problems behind the doors. A lot of people may not know about their problems. But if you're close to them, you know for sure their life is miserable. Every single person. Even the one that pretends to be happy because he's a coach. He's a motivational speaker. He's a motivational teacher. He's a clown. He's a comic, whatever. Those people are usually the most miserable of all. Suicide rate of comedians is usually higher than others. Because the defense mechanism. So now, every single one of these people is miserable. Every one of them, without an exception. Why? It's impossible to be happy without Torah. Impossible. You could have momentary joy. You got something new, you taste something delicious, you had a certain physical pleasure. There's momentary joy, but happiness is not momentary joy. Happiness is a state of being. Happiness is you wake up happy, you're during the day happy, you're at night happy, there's problems, you're happy, there's no problems, you're happy, you're always happy. Happiness is just, this is the status quo. This is it. Of course, there's certain things that could make a person upset, there's no questions asked, but it doesn't change their state of being. There's a time to be upset. Something bad happens, a death in a family, a certain... there's even a mitzvah to cry. There's a mitzvah to cry for a kosher person. In fact, the Gemara in Moed Katan says that one of the reasons why Hashem punishes Am Yisrael by Hashem killing their children is if they don't cry over the death of a kosher person. You know a kosher person that died, somebody that shomer Torah and mitzvot, and you didn't cry over their death, Shem Echem, it's a problem. It's a problem. So, mitzvah to cry. There's a time to cry. You pray to Hashem, you cry. But that's not every day. That's not all the time. All the time is supposed to be happy. So you see that on the vast majority of the people in the world that are not keeping Torah and mitzvot, all of those people, not a single one is happy. Not one. If you really get to know them, not if you see them on TV. Not if you see them on TV. On TV, everybody looks happy, including the janitor. Everybody looks happy. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people you really know. You get to know them. You sit down with them. Get to know some of their personal stuff. Get to see them under stress. You get to see all these people, one after another, miserable, 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 miserable. It's mamash a surprise they survive the week sometimes. Every other day, it's like, I can't take it anymore. Why? You can tell them suicide? You should have like the suicide hotline on speed dial. Why? So everybody says, I can't take it anymore every day. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. Why? You suicidal? No, I'm just saying that. No, you just saying that or you're just saying that? You're just saying that. Everybody can't take it anymore. Why? Why you can't take it anymore? Because you don't have Torah. When you don't have Torah, your neshama knows there's no way out. This is permanent. The neshama knows. Yeah, this depression, there's no way out. Why? He doesn't want to learn Torah. He doesn't want to learn Torah. He doesn't want to fulfill Torah. He has no purpose in the world. There's no way out. Neshama gets depressed. So what does he do? He goes to the doctor. Doctor says, yeah, there's no way out. So here's some pills to numb the pain. Make you feel like you're in La La Land. Doesn't take away the problem. Just makes you feel like you're in some other country. You're in Rwanda with the gorillas. Maybe they'll donate some money to you. So, a person that has no Torah simply has no way of being happy. But if you've ever met a real Ben Torah, you've ever really met a real Bat Torah, I'm telling you, it's like you met an alien. It's like you met someone you don't understand. How do they live among us? I'm telling you, some of these avrachim that we know from Yerushalayim, I said I never met people like this in my life. I met a lot of people in my life. I used to do business with people, contracts. People come to the office. Thousands of people, thousands, mamash. I don't even know how I met so many people in one lifetime. A lot of people. Never met a single person that resembles a Ben Torah. I met religious people, a lot of them also. Staka? Okay, give us a chidush. What's that? Oh, okay. Here's the staka. Here's the staka. Go buy some chidush. Give it back to us next week. They know how to collect, but they don't know how to teach. I asked a few of these rabbis to teach me when I was still secular. They didn't want to. One guy came one time, and then he quit. Actually, two of them. Two of them came to my office because they want checks. So I said, okay, why don't you teach me some of this stuff you learn all day? I thought they learn all day. I didn't know. Why don't you teach me some of this stuff you learn all day? Oh, sure. What time? I said, come, I'm here. From the morning till the wee hours. Pick a time, just come. One guy came one time. It's a very, very boring shiur, so I wasn't really that into it. But whatever, I mean, most people in the beginning, they're not really into it. But whatever, I sat there. He would come every week, but just to collect. Teaching, no, I'm busy. What busy? You came to my office, though. Yeah, I got to go to other offices. Another guy, we had an appointment, shows up maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours late, 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, something like that. Stayed for 10, 15 minutes, then left. This is a tragedy that we're so addicted to money, we could literally lose Jews just like that. I'm going to tell you a story that you don't know anything about, but to give you an understanding of how dangerous it is. Just thinking about it right now. There's a organization of Reshaim in Eretz Yisrael right now. They're missionaries, but they call themselves Jews. And they made a video about Rabbi Ephraim a couple of weeks ago, because Rabbi Ephraim made some videos proving that Christianity is complete hocus pocus garbage. And Baruch Hashem helped a lot of people with it. But hasn't reached anywhere near as many people as we would like for it to. But that's the will of Hashem. Anyway, this got this organization, Yimach Shemam V'Zichram, called One for Israel. They're called One for Israel, I God, Mashiach, they have several names. Got their attention. They decided to, they communicated with us already for the last year and a half on text. They wanted to have a public debate. We said we have no interest in public debates simply because we're only going to do things that are going to actually lead to Teshuva. Do you have any interest in doing Teshuva? Do you have any interest in entertaining, changing your idolatry? Zero interest. They're just looking for a stage. This is why I'm very, very much against these public debates that people do. All the debates that prove the truth are already out there. There's no reason for more. There's really no reason for more. Rabbi Mizrahi did his debate. That's more than enough. Rabbi Tovia Singer did his debates. That's more than enough. The recent debate that he did was a complete waste of time. It was not his fault. He thought the guy actually knew something. He thought this was going to be like a big Kiddush Hashem. It was a complete embarrassment. The guy was half retarded. The guy didn't know anything, and it was just like a lion playing with a mouse. It was like a waste of time. I mean, yeah, I know the Jewish people enjoyed it that Rabbi Tovia Singer was destroying him, but no one is really going to do tshuva from this. No one's going to change anything from it. Why? It's just an embarrassment. The guy's a fool. He doesn't even know his own religion. He doesn't know anything. He's constantly playing with his computer the whole time. This is a complete joke. But whatever, they did it because people wanted to have this event. And then you have a couple of people that in California, this young kid debated this, one of the founders or presidents of Jews for Jesus, unfortunately a Jewish guy. And the Jews for Jesus guy was completely ignorant. The young kid did really well. But no one's doing tshuva from this. No one's doing tshuva from this. One of the people that organized said, "Oh yeah, we got a couple of people that want to convert now." I said, "Yeah, they wanted to convert without this." It's a prophecy in the Torah. Gemara Masechet Avodah Zarah says before Mashiach comes, a lot of people want to convert. I have at least a half a dozen a day. Half a dozen a day people send me emails, they want to convert, they want to convert, they want to convert. I can't even answer it. I don't have time to answer the text messages. Emails, it's almost like you're sending it to a garbage pail. I almost don't answer emails anymore. Just by the time you catch up with the text message, it's time to go to sleep. You know how many people want to convert? You're not doing anybody any favors by doing these debates. People want to do these debates. It's a complete waste of time. If anyone wants to know the truth, there's enough debates out there to prove the truth. But these Reshaim from Israel wanted a debate. We said we're not interested. We went back and forth. We said, look, if you have answers to our questions, if you have something, write it. No, only publicly. Say, oh, you're looking for a stage. Like Michael Brown, Yimach Shemo, and all these other Reshaim. Anyway, they made a video making fun of Rabbi Ephraim, but not answering any one of his questions. Not a single question that he brought up, not a single proof that he brought up was addressed. But they made a nice 45-minute production. Took them a year to do it. We answered, Ishtabach Shemo, an hour later. An hour later, Rabbi Ephraim addressed their issues, and Baruch Hashem, right now we're working on much, much more extensive thing. But you ask yourself, how did this happen? How did this happen? How did these three yo-yos get access to an unlimited bank account? They literally have an unlimited amount of money. The amount of production that goes into every one of their videos, I mean, you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars. It's not simple videos like our YouTube videos, like right now we're making, on just have a little camera and I put it on YouTube. No, you see it's mamash, real Hollywood production. Why? Because they were taught by a Hollywood producer. They made some really top-notch movies, like giant, $100, $200, $300 million movies. Just the budget to make it, not how much they made in the box office, billions of dollars. They got taught how to do this. Huge money. Unlimited donations. They have buildings. They have, it's unbelievable. This and overnight it seems like. How? How did it happen? I'll tell you the story that they said themselves about themselves to show you how dangerous it is to leave a Jew hanging and not answer his questions, not take special care of him to get him to know the truth. The founder, this Menuval, what is his name? Eitan. He came from a broken home, and his parents divorced. He said actually he had an English lecture in Tennessee 6 months ago, and he said it. He said in the beginning of the story, and he said that he came from a broken home, so his stupid parents, and you'll see exactly why I say stupid in a second. Hopefully they're still Jewish, but I highly doubt it. His stupid parents, Israeli parents, decided to send, while they're dealing with the divorce, they didn't want their kid to see it. They didn't want their kid to see the divorce. So what they do, they sent him to a Christian family in Canada. Guess what? He went there a Jew, he came back a Christian. It's like you send a kid to inside the barbecue. Inside, not like to go for a barbecue. Inside the barbecue. And you expect him not to turn into a steak. Not to get burned. They sent a little kid to a Christian family. Guess what? Became a Christian. The other guy, Moti, he says in his demented personal story, passed the joke of a test that we have in America called Ashgacha. The Ashgacha test to be a mashgiach in a restaurant. All you need to know is how to go to a class for a week. That's all you need to know. To be a mashgiach in America, to be a mashgiach for food, for kosher food, all you need to know is to attend a course for a week, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. That's all you need to know. Other than that, you don't need to know much. Why? They teach you how to wash vegetables. That's all they do. 2 weeks, you're washing vegetables. Yeah, they'll tell you a few things about, oh yeah, this is this, don't eat milk and meat, so on and so forth. But they don't actually see if you have yirat shamayim, if you believe in God, if you have some serious psychological problems. I know one guy became a mashgiach in Boca Raton. I know if I see him in a restaurant, I'm leaving immediately. Immediately I'm leaving. The guy doesn't believe in God. Nothing. And he's mentally unstable. Most of these people that he sees are mentally unstable. But anyway, for somebody who has to believe in God, it has to be mentally unstable. But anyway, this Moti didn't really have much of a belief, but he needed a job. He spoke Hebrew, so he figured, okay, maybe I could be a mashgiach. Took a course, became a mashgiach kosher restaurant. Didn't believe in anything. So he became a mashgiach, and while he was taking drugs, while he became a drug addict, and so this guy's top notch. You want him to be a mashgiach on your steak, on your everything else. Why he does another line? Oh yeah, we'll put a little seasoning of cocaine on your steak. Little seasoning. Oh, what's that white stuff? No, it's special. It's on me. Don't worry. It's on me. It's on me. Kosher, but that's kosher. It's the kosher section of cocaine and heroin, like we learned about yesterday. Philanthropist gave it. Anyway, while this crackhead is pretending to be a mashgiach, customer comes to the bar or wherever where he's at, and starts talking to him about Christianity. Obviously, the kashrut body didn't check their students, didn't check if the student has yirat shamayim, knows Judaism, knows anything. What ends up happening? The Christian came, told him a couple of verses from the Torah that confused him. That's it. Lost. Became missionary. But the worst of them all is the guy that actually calls themselves, they call him the CEO, the president, but he's the guy that helped them put themselves on the map, because he was the money guy. And he speaks English perfect. This guy named Erez. This guy is intellectual, psychiatrist, psychologist, psycho, something. A lot of psychos. And but this guy went to trip, like a lot of Israelis, they go to the places of Avodah Zarah, Thailand, India, all those Taiwan, all of those places. And he met a couple of Christians over there, and they started mentioning him. Oh yeah, God, God, God. He's like, what God? I went to like a fake religious school. You know, boys and girls. You don't really have to be religious at home. You know, like one of those fake religious schools. So, how come I don't know these verses you're mentioning? So, oh, see, they're hiding it. They're hiding it. So anyway, this guy was motivated to start becoming a Christian while he was looking for a cow as an idol, or a snake, or a mouse. He found JCPenney instead. It was actually better off that he prayed to a mouse than JCPenney. But anyway, at least the mouse eventually going to realize it's just a mouse. It's going to die. JCPenney, you're thinking he's still alive. So anyway, this guy wasn't a lost soul yet. He wasn't lost completely. Why? He came back home. His family was shocked. Shocked. That's what he says. His family was shocked. What are you doing, Erez? You're Israeli, you're this, we come from you Jewish people. May not be necessarily the most religious people in the world, but come on, Christianity, are you out of your mind? New Testament, what are you, sick? They sent him to a psychiatrist. Psychiatrist says, no, he's perfectly fine. Why? Because probably a psychiatrist was not fine. He was probably also a Christian. But what's the worst thing? The next day they said you have a meeting with a rabbi. Rabbi is going to get you back. He's going to convince you. He's going to... It's pikuach nefesh. By the way, you should know. If you know somebody, a Jew, that they're going to put him in the impure water, the tuma water of Christianity to convert them, you know that somebody's about to convert to Christianity. If it's on Shabbat, you're allowed to drive on Shabbat to stop it. It's considered pikuach nefesh. If you know somebody that's going to be convert on Shabbat, and you can stop it, you're allowed to drive on Shabbat to go stop it. It's pikuach nefesh, mamash. Same thing as if they have a heart attack. Same thing. Worse, actually. Heart attack, at least just their body's going to die. So, now, they have an appointment with the rabbi that is going to get Erez back to being a Jew again. Maybe an hour or so before the meeting, the rabbi cancels. Rabbi cancels the appointment. Erez is lost. No reappointment, no new appointment. He says in his own story, the appointment, he canceled it. After that, I made it my life to become a missionary. And these three jokers added more and more people to their team, added literally millions and millions of dollars to their budget, and they have a mission to destroy the Torah, to destroy the oral Torah, to destroy the written Torah, to destroy Judaism in general, by pretending to be Jewish, by pretending to do things. And he said in it's Eitan Rasha, said in one of the few English lectures that he has, he went to a church in Tennessee. They're all in Israel. He went to a church in Tennessee, and he said the scariest statement I ever heard any missionary say. I've heard a lot of missionaries talk. It's always the same hogwash, it's always garbage and everything else. But what he said is the scariest thing I've ever heard. He says to all of these Christians, he says, you know, you guys are all donating to Israel, to IDF, to poor people, to Holocaust survivors, but you're not donating to the cross. You're not donating to Christianity to make the Jews Christians and so on, or to become believers, he calls it. And one of the reasons, because people don't know that how much is needed over there. But also, there's nobody else like us. Why? Because the government has a law that a American organization, Canadian organization of Christianity cannot go to Israel and missionize. So the Pope can't send his boys to and start a whole building in Israel to do missionary activity. They still do it, but it's not organized like it is in their own country. He says, so your only choice is us. Why? They can't kick us out. We live there. We're Israelis. And we also found the secret. The secret to getting them to become believers. And it's idolatry. What? Their kids. So he says, we found the secret. Their kids. Why? Their kids go to school, whether it's a yeshiva or it's secular.
They all go to school. They all go playground. They all go this, right? The parents have their own beliefs and everything else. But we found a way to get to every kid. Doesn't matter what school he goes to. The yeshiva, Haridi, no Haridi. We found a way how to get to every single kid. How? They all have phones. We get to their phones. We get to their phones. We send them messages, special marketing. He's a marketing genius, this Rasha Merusha. He goes specifically after children. To me, it's the scariest thing I've ever heard in my life. Because even the worst missionaries in America, in Europe, and so on, they don't go after kids. They'll take the kids if they come, but they don't go after kids. They go after the parents. They go after the thing. These people are specifically targeting kids. And they're catching them. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there was between 30 to 300 Christians in Israel. Very few. Today, 30,000. $30,000 may not seem like a big number, but in Eretz Yisrael it's huge. And that's just understatement in my opinion. Especially since these jokers came around. And they're having all of the top, or many of the top missionaries in the world from America, like Michael Brown, Yimach Shemo V'Zichro, also contribute, also help them. He's one of their writers in English and so on and so forth. They're all joining forces. Mamash, you see this is Mamash, the Gog Magog started. It's a spiritual war. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that they're investing any effort in Israel. Why? Because Chas v'Shalom, even if you got all of the Chas v'Shalom, you got 8 million people over there. Another 7 million let's say you got everybody, 20 million Jews. You got them to go to your place of idolatry, Chas v'Shalom. Like, what'd you get out of it? It's not even a rounding error in comparison to your 8 billion people market. Why do you spend so much money going after the Jews? I mean, even if you succeed, what did you get out of it? There's 8 billion people in the world. Which shows you that the idolatry, the Christianity, the missionizing that they do, it's something from Shamayim. It's a spiritual war before the end. Just like the Torah tells us, there's going to be a spiritual war. Everyone is going to get to a point where they have to make a decision. Are you 100% with Hashem or not? There's no more middle ground. There's no more middle ground. And anyone that wastes time is going to have a lot of problems in their life. Sometimes people tell me that, oh yeah, but it's hard, but it's hard, but it's hard. Well, I can tell you that if you're dealing with your difficulty in life and you're not getting the message, Hashem said to do tshuva, and you're not getting the message, and you say, Shalom yeli, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, Hashem says He's going to punish you for that type of attitude. The Gemara in Bava Kama, page 92, says something that is not necessarily the most wonderful news. Rava said to Rabba Bar Mari, says that where do we get this saying that if you called your friend and he didn't answer you, throw a large wall and cast it on him. Don't attempt to help him anymore. Meaning if you try to help your friend, try to rebuke your friend, and he didn't want to listen, leave him alone. Throw him away. Try to give him a hand. Listen, go here, do this, do this. He doesn't want to listen. He's becoming violent. Said you're allowed, eventually there's certain rules of how far rebuke has to go. You have to try several times, but if he becomes violent, if he starts doing things that break the rules, the heck with him. Where do we get that from? So Rabbi Bar Mari says to him, oh, of course, the source in the Torah, Ezekiel 24, verse 13. What does Hashem say in Ezekiel 24, verse 13? One of the scariest verses in the entire Torah. It says, יען תארתיך ולא טהרת, מתאומתך לא תתראה, עוד עד עיניכי את חמתי בך. He says, Hashem says, tell Am Yisrael, Hashem says to the prophet Ezekiel, he says, tell Am Yisrael, because I tried to cleanse you. I tried giving you the signs. You had a difficulty in your life, you lost some money, you had problems with your marriage, you had this, I tried giving you the messages. You didn't get it. I sent the rabbi to your house, you heard it in a shiur, you saw it on YouTube, the rabbi came to your shul, brought $10,000 worth of merchandise for free. Nobody shows up. You know, stuff like that, right? Because I tried to cleanse you, but you would not be cleansed. You will not again be cleansed of your contamination until I place my wrath upon you. Now, you're not going to do tshuva until I punish you. Not even if you want to do tshuva, I'm not going to let you do tshuva until you're going to feel some serious pain. I gave you a flat tire. To give you an indication, go to the lecture. Go to the lecture, stop watching basketball. Go to the lecture, stop wasting your time. I give you a flat tire. You lost $5,000 in the market. Small things. You didn't get it. You didn't get it. Now, you're not going to get it. Until I punish you hard. Until your entire portfolio is worth zero. Until you owe everybody money. Until your wife throws you in the streets. Until your kids cursed you out. And you're going to feel my wrath. Hashem yachem. Hashem says you're going to feel my wrath. If somebody is not scared of that, there's something wrong with them. I tried to clean you. You didn't want to? Now you're not going to get clean until I punish you. A person gets opportunities to do tshuva. Rabbi Yisrael Misalan says, sometimes a person can lose that. Sometimes a person can lose their right to do tshuva. How? When the opportunity came and somebody rebuked them, they heard the truth, they saw it on your YouTube video, they came to a lecture and said, no, come on, he's fanatic. He's fanatic, this guy. This Rabbi Yaron is fanatic. Has to be a catch. He's probably making money out of it. Has to be a catch. He's a criminal. He's a this, he's a that, all types of stuff. They don't have actually any proof of anything. But it has to be. Why? Because they don't feel like doing tshuva. Rabbi Yisrael Misalan says such a person can lose their right to do tshuva. Sometimes even their right to live. So, we have to stay away from these dangers. Because, on one hand, you're supposed to try to help every single Jew, because if you don't help them, chas v'shalom, they can become like these three clowns that are causing a lot of people to fall. A lot of them. They highlight and publicize the fact that their YouTube channels, their websites, have almost 60 million views. All of the Jews in Eretz Yisrael, is not 60 million. It's not even barely 10% of that. 8 million Jews in Eretz Yisrael. 8 million Jews in Eretz Yisrael, they have 60 million views. It's absurd numbers. All three of them, if they would have come to me a day before the Christian missionary came to them, all of them would not be there. Not a single one. Why? It's very easy to prove Judaism, but once you're in a tum'ah for that many years, once you're making money out of it, it's very hard to get out of it. It's very hard to get out of it. You have to be itro, you have to be. Even if they know the truth, even if they know it's all nonsense what they're saying, it's very hard to get out of it when the people are writing you checks of 7 figures. $1 million, $2 million, just keep saying this nonsense. Test of tests. So now, how do we, number one, address the issue of being zealous enough to do KIRUV on a regular basis? Number two, make sure that we ourselves do tshuva. We have to value the Torah the way it's supposed to be valued. Understand that Torah is not a regular book. It's not up to translation. You translate it this week. I'm going to translate it next week. No, the week after that, somebody else. It's not what people think. You don't read it literally. There's rules to the Torah. And there's benefits to following it. Lots and lots of punishments for not. So the first verse that Shlomo HaMelech gives us is Proverbs 4, verse 22. שנאמר, חיים הם למוצאיהם ולכל בשרו מרפא. For they, meaning the teachings of the Torah, are life to those who find them and a healing to his entire flesh. Rashi says here, very simple, that the fruits of a person's Torah observance, not just learning Torah and knowing some verses by heart like these Christian missionaries, but actually observing the Torah, observing Shabbat, which none of them do, observing all of the mitzvot that none of them do, because they have an excuse for everything under the sun. For observing the Torah bears fruit. What kind of fruit? Fruit that shows itself in this world and the next, both physically and spiritually. The Malbim says that this verse teaches us that once a person acquires Torah knowledge, he merits physical and spiritual life. To the extent that even if he has a physical ailment, he's sick, he has Shemer Achem, what kind of diseases he has, uncurable, undiagnosable, whatever it is, his Torah can cure it. Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have to. If the Torah was a book written by a man, then you're right. It doesn't make any sense. Therefore, it's not. But it's not written by man. God put it together. The fact that it says words is because that's the way he's communicating with us. But the words don't make it physical. It's just a way to communicate. While every physical ailment has a different medicine, the Torah has a medicine for all ailments. Everything. How? What's the explanation for this that we can understand? The Maharal explains, says, Hashem Yitbarach, the Gemara says in Chagigah, Hashem wrote the Torah 974 generations before he created the world. And then he looked at the Torah as the blueprint of creation. He saw in the Torah there's kosher and non-kosher. So he said, okay. So he made kosher animals and non-kosher animals. Kosher fish and non-kosher fish. He saw in the Torah that there is a rules for all types of food. Part of it is meat, part of it is for vegetables. Why? It says if your vegetable is clean, it's mitzvah to eat it. But if it has bugs on it, like they do in all the non-kosher restaurants, or the restaurants that say they're kosher but they have some atheists as the mashgiach, they have bugs on it and you eat it, it's like you ate pig 6 times. If you don't wash your lettuce with soap, you don't wash your lettuce and clean up all the bugs that are on it, by the way, it's worse than eating pig. If you don't know how to clean your vegetables, go online. There's plenty of videos about it. Learn how to clean your vegetables. Why? Eating a bug in your vegetables, in your fruits, is worse than eating pig. Now, it's not to go tell you to go eat pigs. It's to, some people would understand that. For the missionaries, that's what they would understand. They have a demented brain. They belong with the gorillas in Rwanda. But the reality is that if you're eating bugs because you're not careful making your salad, because you're so hungry, you make it really quick. You don't feel like washing it with soap. You don't feel like putting some work into it to clean your vegetables. Guess what? For sure you're eating bugs. For sure. Not like maybe. For sure, every vegetable. Doesn't matter where you buy it from. You could buy it from Walmart. You could buy it directly from the farmer. It has bugs on it. Even if it says, no, it doesn't have bugs, it's good, we washed it. Even if it's wet, doesn't mean anything. Anybody that cooks a little bit knows that it's very, very normal for them to have bugs. If you don't wash it carefully, excuse me, you, my friend, are eating bugs. Maybe you should do a shakol on the because you're eating meat. Instead of saying bri adama on the lettuce and the tomatoes and everything else, you do shakol because you're eating meat of the flies and the spiders and the cockroaches. Shakol maybe. So, now this is also important when you go to restaurants. And somebody asked me today, is it okay to go to a restaurant or is it goyish behavior? There's nothing wrong with going to a Jewish restaurant that's kosher. In fact, you should go once in a while. It's good for a couple to get out, get away a little bit, spend some time. There's nothing wrong with it. And if the wife needs to get a fresh air a little bit, it's very, very good for the husband to take her once in a while. Once in a while, not daily and not even necessarily weekly. Once in a while. You want to go once a week, go once a week, whatever. But the point is, once in a while it should be, as long as you're spending at least just enough time to learn Torah every day. As long as your Torah is not once in a while. But under the condition that it's a kosher restaurant, mamash. Not like maybe. It's a kosher restaurant, and it's not that just the sign is kosher. It's a kosher restaurant. You have an understanding. There's a real ashgacha there. There's actual mashgiach. He's there. Guy looks somewhat competent. You know, obviously most people are not going to know who's an expert, who's not, but there's a certain level of faith here that you have to rely on, regardless of even if you eat at a restaurant or if you buy food from a grocery store. There's a certain amount of faith you have it. Like, for example, people are becoming a little crazy in regards to kashrut, because a few people have made a big stink that there is a lot of problems with kosher meat. And it's true. It's true. There is a lot of problems with kosher meat. But there is kosher meat available, though. There's problems. But everywhere. It's not just in America. It's everywhere. In Israel, you know how many times they've published stories of finding a truck full of donkey meat that they're selling as kosher? Some secular Jew made a nice deal with an Arab, discounted kosher meat. Doesn't really know where the source is. Ends up being donkey meat. Once you cook it, it's the same. So you don't know it's donkey meat. But that's what happens when the owner of the restaurant is secular and has no yirat shamayim. He has no problem buying donkey meat. His only problem is the fact that you don't have it every week, so he has to spend some money on kosher meat once in a while too. That's in Israel. It's in Eretz HaKodesh where it's easy to get kosher meat. It's easy. So there's problems there. What, are you not going to eat meat? There are kosher meat. There is kosher meat available. Same thing here. Plenty of problems with kosher meat here. But there's kosher meat available. So you have to have a certain level of faith in the system. You can't simply live a life where you just don't believe anything, because then the reality is you're going to live a life where you're going to say, oh no, I'm just going to eat vegetables. Okay, you want to eat vegetables, enjoy. But what are you going to do during the Chagim? Where the Torah says that you're supposed to, v'samachta b'chagecha, v'ayita sameach, you're supposed to be sameach during Shabbat, to be sameach during the holidays. You're supposed to eat meat and drink wine. So what are you going to do? You're just going to skip that halacha? You're going to skip that one? Reality is you have to have a certain amount of sense. You can't just cancel people out just because there's a problem in the system. Just because one fake religious guy ended up, molesting a kid doesn't cancel out all the religious people. He was a faker. Just because one secular guy became a missionary doesn't mean that all secular people are going to become missionaries. Just because one car hit another car doesn't mean that you're not allowed to drive anymore. You have to have a little bit of sense. Everything can be used for good. Everything can be used for bad. People have to have a little bit of sense. As far as going to restaurants, there's no problem as long as it's kosher. But you have to know that it's kosher, mamash, like you have a little bit of a understanding if there's, let's say, for example, several kosher bodies within your city, everybody knows within a religious community that some are more stringent than others. Do your best to go with the ones that are the most stringent. also do your best to restaurants that are owned by religious people. Not by secular people that just want to make money off the religious people. Unfortunately, here in Florida, I think every single kosher supermarket is owned by secular people. Every kosher supermarket is owned by secular people. They don't nothing keep zero. They have rabbis working for them, but the rabbis are just working for them. They're not running the show. So there's a certain amount of faith you have to have in the system that those rabbis have at least enough yirat shamayim that they're not letting these people, sell you tarif. So again, to cancel out everybody is not a good behavior either. Same thing goes with everything else. Sometimes people go crazy. They watch some of the videos and they take it a little bit too far. A little bit of too much kinah, too much zealousness. For example, when it comes to wigs. I'm not going to go over the whole issue again now because we're running out of time. But we've talked extensively about wigs. And Baruch Hashem, many women have sent us letters and voice notes and phone calls. Baruch Hashem, they realized there's a problem with the wigs. They took off the wigs. They started putting mitpachat on. Baruch Hashem, every week there's something new. Baruch Hashem. But unfortunately, there's still the vast majority of religious Jewish women are wearing wigs. We still haven't reached the whole world. B'ezrat Hashem, eventually. Eventually it's going to get there. But we're making the effort. So people that have made the change, good, chazak u'baruch. But that doesn't mean that if you made the change, or you are a guy, and you agree that there's a problem with wigs and it's idolatry and so on, a source of idolatry and so on, it doesn't mean that you look at every woman that has a wig on and start calling her a rasha, you're the worst person on earth, you're an idol worshiper, you're not even a Jew. No, chas v'shalom, we never said such a thing. Yes, there's a problem with what they're doing, 100%, and we're never going to minimize it. There's a problem. According to research that we've done, there's a very, very high likelihood that wig, that's real hair, came from idolatry. 100%. That's a problem. That's her problem. Hopefully she fixes it. Causes problems for Am Yisrael, but nonetheless, it's her problem. It doesn't necessarily make that person a rasha, wicked, by default. And you cancel them out, and you don't want to listen to her. If her husband's a rabbi, you cancel him out also. And if the kids are going to a certain playground, you don't send your kids there to play with them. Chas v'shalom. There's never something that we've ever said. People are going a little crazy with this. Yes, there's a problem. But by the way, guess what? If every single one of us here, if every single person that's watching this video looks in the mirror, guess what? You're going to find a zit. You're going to find a problem in you too. You have a problem also. So what? You're going to cancel everybody else out but not yourself? They have a problem. You have a problem. You fix yours. They'll fix this. B'ezrat Hashem. Rebuke doesn't mean hate Am Yisrael. Rebuke doesn't mean that you're criticizing them and say that they're all wicked. No, they have a problem. They have a sin. You have a sin also. Fix yours. Fix yours. If you have an opportunity to advise them, to consult them, to send them information, so hopefully help them see the light, no problem. But starting to hate the public, and cancel out every rabbi that his wife is wearing a wig, cancel out every single person that's wearing a wig as if they're terrible people, that's chas v'shalom. It's not dat Torah. Nobody ever said such a thing. Even though I'm the biggest hater of wigs probably on earth. Doesn't chas v'shalom, it doesn't make me feel negatively about any single Jew. Even the ones that are wearing the immodest wigs. Ones that are not kosher in any way. Even them. Why? The reality is, it's all burut. It's all ignorance. That's what it is. It's all ignorance. That's the reason. So, lo aleinu that have to have such problems of having idolatry in our house, but the point is, Rabotai, we cannot look at our brothers and sisters as wicked people that we don't even want to help them anymore, because look what happened. This rabbi canceled the appointment, didn't care enough to follow up, and the kid became one of the biggest missionaries in the world. So we have an obligation to do KIRUV. We have an obligation to help Am Yisrael, not to criticize Am Yisrael. And there's a very, very big misunderstanding by certain people that literally they start hating Jews. There are Jews that hate Jews, but they think it's okay because the other Jews are sinners. Guess what? You're a bigger sinner for hating the Jew. They're a sinner because they have a desire. They have a desire to get attention and so on and so forth. You're a sinner because you're just going against the Torah intentionally. You simply have no clue what you're talking about. So again, it's very, very important to understand when to do, when not to do. And the Torah Kedusha is an instruction set of how to do everything. Now, when Hashem created the Torah, as the Gemara said, 974 generations before He created the world, He looked at the Torah and He created the world according to the Torah. So the Maharal says that just like the Torah is the blueprint of the world, if somebody goes back to the blueprint, he links himself to the blueprint of creation, he now is going to find a world without flaws. Why? Because the blueprint has no flaws. He connects to this world without flaws. He connects to the Torah. By connecting to the Torah, by her connecting to the Torah, by living according to this flawless Torah, guess what? You yourself will become flawless. Oh, so you have a little mum, you have a disease of some kind, you have a struggle of some kind. Well, if you're going to follow this flawless blueprint, you too will become flawless, the Maharal says. You too will have no problems either. You'll fix the problem that way. Now, people have a hard time believing that the Torah can cure everything. They have a hard time because they think that they have a better way. And before we even get to some of these things, a person needs to understand the Torah is the blueprint of the world. If it was not for the Torah, there's simply no purpose to the world. So the first question you have to ask yourself is there a Gan Eden and a Gehenom or no? If you believe there's Gan Eden and Gehenom, then we continue moving forward to the next question. If there's only Gan Eden, then we have to have a different shiur. We have to have a different shiur. Why? We have to go back to the Gehenom shiur and prove to you there's a Gehenom shiur. So then you're back to status quo, there's Gan Eden and Gehenom. Why? If you only believe that there's only Gan Eden, then we have a serious problem. You've created a new religion. So if there's Gan Eden and Gehenom, now in Gehenom we don't have to go into the details, but you know it's not a pleasant place. Right? Okay. Gan Eden. What's Gan Eden? We didn't talk that much about Gan Eden. Even the Torah itself doesn't talk that much about Gan Eden. But Chachamim say, what do they do in Gan Eden? They learn Torah. They learn Torah. So if you didn't learn Torah your whole life, what are you going to do in Gan Eden? Let's say they let you in. Let's say you beat the system. Let's say somehow, I don't know, they say your Chabad rabbi is, it says that, Kol Yisrael Shlem Chelek Olam Haba, he tells you have share of the world to come, you're going to go to Gan Eden, okay? Let's say you go to Gan Eden. Torah says, what do they do in Gan Eden? They learn Torah non-stop. What are you going to do there? Say, I'm going to learn Torah. You're not going to understand a single thing. They don't teach Aleph Bet there. They don't teach Aleph. Aleph Bet is in this world. They don't teach Aleph Bet. They don't teach Parashat Shavua, Aleph Bet, Bereshit, Bara. No. If you don't know it by then, you're not going to understand what's going on. They're already at a higher level. What are you going to do there? What are you going to do in Gan Eden? Well, you can't do something else. There's no like other choices. No, there's a section for barbecues. There's a section for football games. There's a section for Torah. No, there's a mall. No, that's this world, Rabotai. In Gan Eden, you learn Torah non-stop and you enjoy the Shekhinah. You enjoy the Shekhinah. You feel the Torah. You feel it. Not just learn, you feel the Torah. In Gan Eden, Hashem is among you. Hashem is next to you. Not like theoretically. Hashem Mamash is next to you. Hashem walks with the tzaddikim in Gan Eden. So what are you going to do there? What are you talking to Hashem about? You're going to tell him about your problems in life? Oh yeah, the mortgage, the check bounced. There's no mortgage in Shemayim. There's no mortgage in Shemayim. So what are you going to do in Gan Eden? Remember, you have to ask yourself this. You're not going to learn Torah day and night. Become a tzaddik. Become a tzaddikin. Have little tzaddikim kids. What are you going to do? Let's say you go to Gan Eden. What are you going to do there? It's going to become a Gehenom for you. Gan Eden becomes Gehenom. Go back to Gehenom. Why? Gehenom is more like this world. Struggle, horrible, terrible, fire, problems. Maybe you feel more at home over there. So a person needs to know, use your head, think about these. There's two choices, no three choices. There's Gan Eden, Gehenom, and whatever else that your imaginary brain is. No. There's two choices. Gan Eden has Torah. Gehenom, problems. But much, much worse than this world. So even if you think that everybody goes to Gan Eden, which is not necessarily what the Torah says, or even close to what the Torah says, you have to see, okay, let's say you do somehow sneak in, like Esav snuck into Gan Eden for a few minutes. They threw him out. Why? There's nothing for him to do there. He's a Rasha. The Rashaim have nothing to do in Gehenom, in Gan Eden. You have to understand that Torah Kedusha is the cure for everything. But if you don't practice it here, not only you're not going to benefit of this Gan Eden and know what to do with it, but you're not going to get the benefits here. The Gaon Mivina says that one of the examples of how the Torah Kedusha fixes a person physically is, for example, we have an obligation to read Kriyat Shema twice a day. Morning and at night, in Shachrit and Arvit. And you're also supposed to do Kriyat Shema al Amitah, but the main obligation is Shachrit and Arvit. Now, we don't just read this because some rabbi said it. We don't just read this because it sounds good and it reminds us of Mitzrayim. There are other benefits to it as well that you get by doing this, by fulfilling the will of Hashem. And the Gaon Mivina says, look at this. Kriyat Shema has 248 words. Your body has 248 organs. Every single word gives health to one of those organs. So if you're thinking about the basketball game, the football game, the mortgage, the everything else, except while you're reading Kriyat Shema, guess what? If your side starts hurting, don't blame Hashem. Don't blame Hashem. When you don't have kavanah in your Kriyat Shema because you're thinking about everything except Kriyat Shema, don't blame Hashem. Everybody blames Hashem. It's not Hashem's fault. He gave you a cure. He gave you Kriyat Shema. Every word is going to fix something. If you keep skipping that word, you keep getting the wrong word because you're trying to do it by heart, and you don't look at the siddur, to double check once in a while, to make sure that, hey, maybe I remember by heart, but maybe I said, this instead of that. You make a mistake once in a while. It's easy to make a mistake, especially if you know it by heart. It's actually more likely you'll make a mistake if you know by heart. That's why we have Siddurim. The Gaon Mivina says even Birkat HaMazon that a 6-year-old knows by heart, he said he would read it from a Siddur. Why? I want to make sure I don't make a mistake. Why? Because he understood the significance of it. He understood the significance of it. Every word has a cure. A person needs to look into the Torah in such a way that he has to look at it as if it's its life. As if it's its life. A righteous person that has the Torah is living in this world and the next. But the Gemara says the wicked, the Rashaim, are considered dead even during their lifetime. Somebody that does not learn Torah every day, the Gemara in Masechet Brachot, page 18b, says he's considered dead already. Yeah, but he's a nice guy. He donates to the Beit Knesset. Okay, donate to the Beit Knesset. Dead people donate all the time. Wow, you know how many foundations are from dead people? All the foundations, all the donations usually come from some guy that died. They donate all the time. So the guy sometimes walks around too. You don't learn Torah every day, at least a little bit every day, you're considered dead in Shemaim. Why? How are you going to live? What is the Torah like? What is it like? The Maharal explains it this way. He gives a nice analogy. He says that a person needs to look at the Torah similar to how a tree that has branches and has the leaves, the branches, the fruits of the tree, they all get their sustenance from what the roots are doing. As long as the roots are working, everything is fine. The roots will get the nutrients, bring it to the tree will continue to grow, the leaves will continue to grow, the fruits will continue to grow, everything is fine. But if there's ever a problem with the roots, if the tree gets unrooted, guess what? Little by little, the leaves die. Little by little, the tree dies. One of the greatest proofs, scientific proofs, of the Torah Kedusha is trees. How so? The Gemara says that if a tree falls, the scream of the tree, how the tree is a living thing, the scream of the tree can be heard at the end of the world. How come we don't hear it? Because if we could, we'd simply not be able to, we won't use it. If we really knew how much we're impacting the world around us, we simply wouldn't be able to live. But the tree makes a sound. He screams. When he gets cut and he falls, there's a huge scream that gets carried all the way to the end of the world. Now, how do you know that a tree is a living thing and not it's just a figment of my imagination and the rest of the rabbis? You could see it yourself. Once in a while, you're going to see that there's a tree, there's houses, and they have trees outside. But sometimes the tree outside continues to grow, and runs into the house. That if they don't cut the branch, it's going to make a hole in the house. Through the wood of the house. You see many times that the tree on the outside, if they continue to grow, and the house was abandoned, you see that the trees went through the house, through the wood of the house. But in the forest, in the jungle, in a place where there are many trees right next to each other, you're never going to see one tree run in the way of another tree. Never. There can be 1,000,000 trees. One tree will never hit another tree. The branches will be right next to each other, but they're never going to hit. Why? Because the living tree can see another living tree. So he's not going to run into him. But the living tree that sees the house, that's a dead tree. That's nothing. I'm going through it. It's dead. I'm going through it. In the forest, you have 1,000,000 trees. Not a single one touches one another. Not a single one. Never in history. But one tree. The whole house has one tree next to it. A little wooden house, there's not a lot of trees. There's one tree. But you'll see over time that tree will go through the house. Why? Because it's dead. A Jew without Torah is exactly like a dead tree. That a person needs to know that if he doesn't have Torah, he has no life. He cannot get the sustenance of the world, of the shefa that Hashem wants to give him. The Torah is simply going to go through him instead of help him. Instead of the Torah being Sama Chaim, it becomes Sama Mavet. Instead of it being a potion of life, we can live next to each other. You have other trees, you have other Jews, you have the sustenance from Hashem, you have all the beauty and the gifts that Hashem wants to give you. Guess what? The Torah becomes fire that burns him. That same Torah is now counting how many sins he made against her. And it demands a revenge. The Torah is a living thing, it demands a revenge. Why? We had a deal. We had a deal. The next verse here says, almost done for today. Introduction. in chapter 3, verse number 8 in Proverbs. It says, Ve'omer, רפאות היא לשעריך ושיקוי לעצמותיך. It shall be healing to your flesh and marrow to your bones. So Rashi al Makom says that the healing power that can overcome all physical maladies of this world and sustain the bones is the Torah. Now, aside from it helping a person in this world overcome any type of sickness, it's also something that they're going to need when they're in the grave. Why? Because Torah says that if a person is a Rasha, there will be nothing left of him, including his bones. Even his bones will eventually disintegrate. Whereas a tzaddik, depends on how high of a tzaddik he is, even his flesh can be maintained. But at the very least, his bones are going to be maintained in the grave. Why does this matter to anyone? Because the neshama feels all of it. As the body disintegrates during that year that it's in a kever, it's suffering. It's not, the body died, okay, bye-bye. No, my friends. One day, with Bezat Hashem in the book that we're going to publish, part of it talks about chibuta kever. What actually happens in the kever? What happens in the grave? It's not exactly fun and games. So a person, that's why it says marbet basar berima. Person that eats too much meat, meaning somebody that's obese, doesn't stop eating and so on, causes a lot more suffering for himself. Because eventually, if he's not a tzaddik, all of that will have to disintegrate, be eaten by the worms and the snakes and the maggots and so on. And guess what? The neshama feels every single bit of it. So he's causing himself a lot more suffering. But a person that is a tzaddik, a person that follows the Torah, not just reads it theoretically, but actually follows it, he can protect everything. He can protect his bones. They can be ready-made for the resurrection of the dead. He can even get to a level like some of the tzaddikim, that even their own flesh was preserved like they were sleeping in the grave instead of dying, instead of dead. Some tzaddikim that they open their graves up, they're not allowed to, but in some cases it happened, where they transferred bodies from different countries to Eretz Israel and so on, hundreds of years later. There was a few stories, many stories actually, that they saw the body, looked like the person was sleeping, even though he's been dead for 500 years. Go, try to put a piece of steak outside of the refrigerator for an hour. And put it in the sun. See what happens to it. A steak. Imagine a body. Shem Yachem. You know how many people did Teshuva when they saw this? They got scared. They said, how is this possible? How does somebody who's in a grave, he's in a hole for 100 years, 200 years. Forget about it. He's in a hole for 6 months. How is their body still there? Forget about 300 years. 6 months. But there's been some that, hundreds of years, they saw the bodies, it's like the person is sleeping. So what can do such a thing? You can say miracle until you blew in the face. What does that mean, miracle? It means the Torah Kedusha. That person sanctified themselves, made their body itself holy. Made their body holy. ואומר, עץ חיים היא למחזיקים בה ותומכיה מאושר. The next verse is Proverbs 3:18. It says the tree of life to those who grasp it, and its supporters are praiseworthy. So the Ruach Chaim says, this is a very famous verse, we read it in our tefillah on a regular basis. And the Ruach Chaim says that there's a few ways that you could look at this pasuk. On one end, we have the very famous understanding that we've talked about in the past a few times, that the etz is the tzaddik, tree of life, is the tzaddik, but the ones that are praiseworthy, the ones that are benefiting out of this tzaddik are the people that support him, people that donate, in order for him to learn his Torah, in order for him to do KIRUV, in order for him to publicize Hashem's Torah in the world, those are the ones that are praiseworthy. Why? He's doing all the work. All they're doing is writing checks. Imagine, you write a check, and the other person turns that $100 into $1 billion. You write another $1,000 check, he turns it to $10 billion. You write another $10,000 check, he turns it into $100 billion. You write another check, every time he turns it to billions and billions of what? Of eternal money, not money that goes up and down and eventually goes away. Says they're praiseworthy. Well, it's the best job in the world. All they do is they give a check and that's it. They get all the benefits. But unfortunately, Rabotai, it's easier to make an atheist. It's easier to make an atheist into a avrech that learns Torah every day than to get money out of people for KIRUV. Much easier. We've turned atheists into avrechim. They're in kolas. I actually had a guy that was mamash, wanted to commit murder, wanted to murder 2 people. He's a rabbi right now. He's a mamash, became a rabbi, he has a keilah. He pretends he's not my student, but that's a different story. He wanted to murder 2 people though. He runs a keilah right now. I have a guy, used to be a Nazi, like mamash, Nazi. If you had an opportunity to kill a Jew, you'd kill him. Baal Teshuva Gamul. He's going through the final stages of conversion. Yishtabach Shemo, probably within the next year. This guy's going to be learning Torah in a kollel of some kind. Nazi. KIRUV works. Get somebody to do tshuva, you get them from all walks of life. We have a section in the website. It's a little bit under construction, but there's some stuff on it. It's called tshuva stories. I'll give you some examples of some tshuva stories, so you get an understanding. Real stories. I didn't write this. They did themselves. I specifically asked people to write the story themselves, and not tell me to, because in their words is much better than my words. Now, most people today in this horrendous, demented world think that every problem you have in life is permanent, and it's that's it, and you should live with it, and that's it, and it's perfectly fine, and everything is fine and fine and fine. So much so that people think that being homosexual is perfectly fine, despite the fact that God said it's disgusting. And not only that, it should be advocated and celebrated. Now, I'm not just talking about the seculars and the atheists that believe this. I'm talking about some rabbis actually say this. They call themselves religious. They call themselves Orthodox in some cases, like this Rasha, Shmuli Boteach, and others like him. But I don't know, what do they do when they get to the psukim in the Torah that it says, that Hashem says it's considered Toivat Hashem? What do they do when they get there? Do they just skip that part? They just not read the parasha that week? What do they get to the Parashat Bechukotai or Kitavo that he says if you continue sinning against Hashem, I'm going to get you to such level of punishment, you're going to eat your own children for lunch. What do you do when you get to that parasha? What do you do? You just say, no, he didn't mean it. Oh, he just said it for that generation? Then you could say the whole Torah is for that generation. So a person that listened to our Torah wrote this. I'm 19 years old, male, in California. A couple of years ago, I was an atheist. What I'm about to say is incredibly difficult to reveal, for no one but Hashem knows about this journey. At age 17, my way of thinking was to follow my desires. My desires were money, narcissism, homosexuality, and other disgusting acts. I only did this because every indication I had was saying it's the correct path in life. That the pursuit of happiness is doing what you feel is best. Homosexuality and other disgusting acts. Oh, I read this line already. One day, I had some new material to consider. Someone gave me a CD titled Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi's Torah and Science. Through him, I came to Rabbi Yaron Reuven's story. I never knew what a Jew is before those lectures. I also didn't know what a non-Jew was. That a non-Jew has a stake for not following the laws of Noach. After much investigation, proofs, and verifications, my conclusion was that Judaism is beyond reasonable doubt the truth. On those CDs, I heard something shocking. It's against the Torah law to be a homosexual. I didn't believe it. I clearly recall nervously searching for any sources that said it was fine, but I really found nothing conclusive. I had to admit that I was wrong. I felt as if I was in a huge nightmare, wishing to wake up. My whole reality had shattered, and I hysterically cried at the fact that I have to cut these negative actions, desires out of my life. Baruch Hashem for these two holy rabbis who brought down the Torah, who brought down from the Torah that I could overcome this. I listened to them word by word. I switched from audiobooks to audiobooks on entrepreneurship to listening to their CDs with every second I had. Day by day, I felt as if a nuclear bomb had dropped on me and that I had to withstand and the threshold of being blown away. I did Teshuva every day and prayed from an English Tehillim. The Mussar of these two rabbis powered me through each spiritual battle. Finally, I was winning. I did less lustful actions to the point of none at all. Completely stopped all of it. Not even the thoughts come to my mind anymore as they once did before. He doesn't even think about homosexuality anymore. For all of those losers that say, oh, you're born a homosexual, you have some new problems. Why? He's proving to you that it's not. Because if he said, listen, I stopped, but I still think about it all the time, then it's not really a proof. It's not really a proof. He's just overcoming himself. He's not an animal. But the guy became straight 100%. Doesn't think about it at all. He's disgusted by it. He's calling it disgusting a few times already. He's calling it I was winning. Not even the thoughts come to my mind as they once did before. It wasn't Kabbalistic insights or sweet love happiness shiurim that helped me fight this nuclear blast of the Yetzer Hara with sexual lust. It was fear that these two rabbis implanted within me for all the constant rebuke and Mussar lectures. Baruch Hashem, I was saved. Rabotai Yekarim, the Torah HaKdosha can save you from the worst of the worst. It could save you from atheism. It could save you from homosexuality. It can actually save you from both at the same time. At the same time. Not by telling, no, you're a tzaddik, you're a nice guy. Make the check payable to, oh, you're a nice guy. No! By telling you the truth, telling you the word of Hashem. Cure atheism. You know what atheism is? A person is alive in this world, thinks that eventually he's going to become a dirt. That's the purpose of life, to eventually become dirt. That's it. You're going to become a tree. You're going to become something that the cow steps on. That's it. That's the whole purpose of life, is to eventually die. That's an atheist. An atheist believes his grandfather's a monkey from Rwanda. That's an atheist. I mean, it doesn't get crazier than that. A homosexual is a person that's worse than a dog, as far as the way he fulfills his desires. Why? Because even a dog doesn't necessarily go after every single thing that moves. That person does. The dog doesn't try to go on the cat. The dog doesn't try to go after the cow. But the homosexual, I knew many of them from the past days when I was a teenager. You know, you go to clubs, almost every guy's a homosexual. Guess what? Every single homosexual in his heart, believes every other guy's a homosexual. And they have no boundaries. They want married men, single men, all of it. Straight men, everything that moves. Why? Rabbi Nachman ben Breslov says this all originally comes from arrogance. Once the arrogance is fulfilled, they have to fulfill it with immodesty. Have to fulfill it with sexual desires. They have, they become very, very promiscuous with women. Eventually, it's not enough. They go with men. Eventually, it's not enough. They do other things. Animals. Hashem yachem, how much it goes. Children, and so on. What? You don't see the pedophiles predominantly focus on the opposite gender. It's the opposite. The pedophiles are homosexuals. You don't see the pedophile go after little girls most of the time. We usually go after little boys. It's a sickness, but Torah can cure it. Torah can cure it. Torah can cure it. If you hold on to it, though. Dear Rabbi Reuven, I just got this maybe about a month ago, 2 months ago. I hope this letter finds you in good health. Amen. I wanted to share some personal information with you. September 2017, I noticed that I couldn't swallow my Shabbat challah. No matter how many times I tried to gulp down some water, this seemed very strange, as I had never experienced anything like this before. In quick succession, every day thereafter, I quickly discovered a new type of food that I couldn't swallow, which was just about everything. I always thought that in a few days it would get better, until Pesach. I was suffering. I couldn't eat my food normally anymore unless it was parade. I decided to stop the guessing and find out what was going on with me medically. After seeing the gastroenterologist, he set an appointment with me to have the upper endoscopy of my esophagus. A few days later, he called me to come to his office for the results of the biopsy. The doctor told me I had esophageal cancer. My whole world turned upside down that day. I was so angry with Hashem for striking me with this dreadful disease that I stopped observing Shabbat. I just kept losing weight because I couldn't swallow food. I'm down to 90 pounds at 5'5" tall. I'm a weak kitten, as a kitten, and I can barely swallow liquids. Every day I feel myself dying a little bit more than the day before. I literally feel the sword at the back of my neck. My body took me to a Torah lecture. My brother took me to a Torah lecture and arranged a personal meeting with Rabbi Mizrahi at a magnificent shul in Flushing, Queens, in New York. I confessed that I was no longer Shomer Shabbat to Rabbi Mizrahi. He told me that my suffering was helping me cleanse my soul of all my sins throughout my lifetime, and told me that I would be cut off from my people, a huge disgrace, because she was Mechal Shabbat. I promised the rabbi that I would try to keep Shabbat, but I found myself too angry with God. Until the day YouTube suggested one of your Torah lectures. After listening to your personal life story from Wall Street to the Western Wall, I found that listening to your torturous medical conditions for 7 years, I knew that you suffered to the point of contemplating suicide. I finally found a rabbi that knew what it felt like to have an axe on his neck. After listening to one of your lectures about keeping Shabbat, I knew that I had to do complete Teshuva. I am happy to say that for the past 3 months, I'm Shomer Shabbat. Shtabach Shem Olad. Can you please tell me which Tehillim to pray? And it goes to other details, but you guys get the point. You guys get the point. A person with cancer that lost, in so many words, her desire to live, now has a desire to live again. Now has a desire to live. And she actually, I asked her already, she's happy for us to publicize her name. Her Hebrew name is Rivka Bat Sarah Bela. Bezrat Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give her refuah shlema, refuat nefesh, refuat guf. A person that's mamash feels themselves dying every day. Imagine such a thing. Saying, I want to live. I'm keeping Shabbat. I want to pray. I want to talk to Hashem. From what? I didn't give her a cure. She still has cancer right now. Right? As of now, it hasn't gone away yet. Hashem will. But not yet. But she wants to live now. With the problem. With the problem. With the problem. It's easy to want to live once the problem goes away. Everybody wants to live when there's no problems. Who does? That's Gan Eden. Now, the problem, and now, yeah, with the cancer, I want to live. I want to pray to Hashem. I want to listen to more Mussar. I want to fix myself. I don't want to feel like a loser. I don't want to feel sorry for myself. Because there's nothing to be sorry for. I can just fix it. I'm alive. That's good enough. It's easy to want to live when everything is good. Easy. Torah teaches us how to live when everything is dark and still be happy. Still have a smile. Still overcome your obstacles. That's Torah. That's why it's cure. It's not cure per se that every single guy who learns Torah is never going to get a cold. Some of the greatest have died early. What? Rabbi Nachman Breslev died before 40 years old. Rabbi Nachman Breslev, Kodesh Kodeshim, died 40 years old. Rabbi Yaron Reuven Shalom died before he was 60. Some of the greatest died early. Why? It doesn't mean that just because you learn Torah, that you're not going to have any problems, you're not going to get sick. No. But you know what's the difference between them and everybody else? They went to the grave smiling. Close to Hashem. Knowing that this is, I did my best. I did my best. Your average Joe, you talk to an average 70-year-old, 80-year-old, didn't learn Torah, didn't fulfill mitzvot. Guess what? They're full of regrets. They asked a 90-year-old, what are some of your regrets? Recently, had some video on it online. He says, I wish I didn't work that much. I wish I spent some more time with my family. I wish I didn't do this. I wish I didn't do that. I wish I didn't do this. I wish I didn't do that. His whole life was just full of 90 years of regrets. You should have 90 years. You should have something to talk about. It's good. 90 years of regrets. Most people, as they get older, they get more depressed. They can't wait to die. Why? Because their whole life was meaningless anyway. But the tzaddik, the tzaddikah, no matter what problem they have, they want to live. Why? It's another opportunity to fix myself. It's another opportunity to connect more to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's another opportunity to serve Him. It's another opportunity to do something positive for eternity. It's another day. Yeah, but you have problems. Perfect. Perfect. A bat kol came from Shamayim. Bat kol came from Shamayim, or a dream. Baal Shem Tov said it. To him. Said, you made a mistake. You made a mistake. You're not going to Gan Eden. They told Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov told Baal Shem Tov, you're not going to Gan Eden. He publicized the entire to all of his keilah. He said, Yishtabach Shemo L'ad. He started dancing in the middle of the keilah. Yeah. What happened for the Rav? They told me from Shamayim, I'm not going to Gan Eden. All the students are, what? Rebbe, what do you mean you're not going to Gan Eden? Why? Say I made something, I'm not going to Gan Eden. So why are you happy? He goes, it's perfect. Why? Because maybe my whole life, I did the mitzvot, maybe because I wanted to go to Gan Eden. Maybe there's like a little schar, so it motivated me a little bit. Now I can do the mitzvot net, just for Hashem. 100% just to make Hashem happy. So yeah, but what about Gan Eden? He goes, who cares about Gan Eden? Who cares about Gan Eden? I'm going to make Hashem happy, that's enough. If Hashem tells me I'm sending you to Gehenom, I'll dance in there also. Guess what? You get to Gan Eden. For an attitude like that, you're in Gan Eden, you're in Gan Eden over there. But it's to teach us. You have Torah, you have Gan Eden. You don't have to wait for Gan Eden. You're in Gan Eden. With the cancer, without the cancer. With the problem, without the problem. With money, without money. You're in Gan Eden. But how do you get to such a thing? The Ruach Chaim gives us the analogy of analogies. He says, imagine yourself at sea through a raging storm. The sea is huge. Anybody that's ever been on a boat, I don't mean a boat, a little fishing boat right off the shore. I'm talking about like you're actually in the middle of the ocean. It's scary. Why? It doesn't end. When you stop seeing land, it seems like it's never going to end. There's just going to be water forever, and you're never going to get out of there. Once there's waves, Hashem Yachim. Even in the movies, it looks scary. Even though they're going through it, not you, you're just watching. You're scared for them. You're scared for you. Maybe the wave's going to come to your house. It's so big. When there's a storm, and a person, boat breaks, he's thrown off the boat, he's struggling for survival. Only thing he has to hold on to is some tiny little branch that's sticking out of the water. Not a tree, tiny little branch that it looks like if you blow on it a little too hard, it's going to break. That's what he's holding on to. You think he's going to let go of that branch? Never. Why? According to him, his life depends on it. Even though it's a small branch, even though it doesn't make any sense, even though it's not rational, even though everything you could make up in the world, it's a tiny little branch. Nobody else wants to hold on to it. Nobody even bothers to hold on to it. Why? Because it doesn't make any sense that this little branch is going to save you. The Ruach Chaim says, the person that understands is going to hold on to that branch, is going to grab it as if his life depends on it, because it does. A person in this world is also in the midst of a raging sea, a raging storm of desire and ambition. The waves of pride and passion and lust threaten to drown him in an ocean of worldly pleasures. And the only thing that can save him is the Torah Kedosha, the tree of life. As long as he clings on to it, holding it firmly as if his very life depends on it, he may weather the storm. Should he let go, all is lost. This is why the Pasuk says, the Torah is the tree of life for those who grasp it. A person needs to know, when it comes to Torah, you have to hold on to it as if your life depends on it. Why? Because it actually does. But not just life in the next world. That's hard for people to fathom. Here, you're going to have problems in this world. Without Torah, those problems would lead you to become clinically depressed, divorced, miserable, and simply waiting to die. I met a lot of old men in my life. Most of my friends, or my clients, were old. That's usually the people that have a lot of money. 50s, 60s, 70s, some cases 80s. Spent a lot of time with old people. Older people. I've never met a single one of them. Single one of them that didn't live a life full of regrets. They had all the money in the world. But all of them was simply miserable, one after another. But misery likes company, so we shared our stories. I shared my stories, they shared their stories. And everyone thought it's perfectly normal to be miserable. So many people are miserable, people think that's the way you're supposed to be. They get inspired when they see a guy, say a story or make you laugh on TV. You think, oh, wow, he is special, he's a celebrity. Hopefully he takes a picture with me when I see him one day. That's their highlight of their life. Why? Because it's become a standard to be miserable. Rabotai Karim, there's absolutely not a single reason for any human being to be miserable, Jew or non-Jew, if they follow the Torah. If they follow the Torah, you'll have all the reasons in the world to live. But not only live a happy life. Live a life that's worth living. Live a life that has a purpose. The problem is that we're so attached to material, we're so attached to money and desires that we forget to live life. So we do stupid things to justify it. An example that I told you, I promised you I'm going to tell you today, is that, you know the story I told you yesterday about Ellen DeGeneres and our Ellen Fund to save the gorillas from Rwanda? Well, I knew that when she made it, I saw the little clip when I was at the ice cream shop, and she mentioned it for asking people to donate to the Ellen Fund, and I saw the website. I knew that there's millions of dollars in there, and I'm sure she's getting millions of dollars from our stupid viewers. But I didn't know how stupid people are until yesterday, after the lecture. I didn't actually know how stupid they are. They actually surprised me how stupid they are. Because, sometimes you're in a bathroom for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, too long. You have to do something. So I looked it up again, go back to the information. And she highlights shows of people, her friends, donating to her. She had one person, some jewelry designer, come on a show with a check of $250,000 to help her save the gorillas. $250,000 to go save gorillas in Rwanda. Now, if that's not bad enough, I believe the other guy was a Jew named Ashton Kutcher. I think Ashton Kutcher is a Jew. I think. I'm not sure, yo. Either way, he came on our show. And he wanted to top it. He wanted to top it. So he gave her a check for $4 million. $4 million to save monkeys. To save gorillas. Now, why is this so absurd? What, do I have some prejudice against gorillas? No, let's explain why is it so absurd. You have just two people, $4.25 million to save gorillas. The people of Rwanda live off of $2,000 a year. A year. The average person, the average GDP per capita, average person lives off of a little bit more than $150 per month. Which means there's going to be more money given to the gorillas than anybody else, any human being in Rwanda. That's the level of stupidity we've reached in this world. But those videos, they have comments. And you see that the people commenting are even stupider than her. Why? Oh, this is a dream come true. This Ashton Kutcher made me cry when he gave this money. He's so nice. Oh, Ellen is so nice. God bless you. JCPenney, bless you for doing this wonderful cause of saving the gorillas. I always wanted to save gorillas. I promised myself that one day I'll save a gorilla or two. You see that the stupidity has become an epidemic. Epidemic. Why? Because everybody feels the need to do something good. When their whole life is fulfilling their desires, their lustful desires, monetary desires, and so on, at some point, they want to do something that they feel is meaningful. But the problem is, in heaven, in Shamayim, Hashem is not going to allow just anybody to do something really meaningful. You have to have merit in order to do something really meaningful. So if you have merit, you will do something meaningful, like actually save people. Like actually feed people, cure people, get people to go to heaven. That's meaningful. If you don't have merit, in fact, if you openly declare war against God by publicizing your homosexuality and atheism and so on, guess what? Your merit can only help monkeys. But the problem is, Rabotai, is that most of us don't even know how much merit we have or don't have. Because sometimes we love our money so much, we don't even give it to the monkeys. We don't give it to people, and we don't give it to monkeys. We give it to ourselves to get another watch, another car, another house, another steak, another this, another that. How many people are actually giving maaser? How many people are actually giving tzedakah on a regular basis without getting something in return? How many people have made it their life mission to save Am Yisrael from going to Gehenom? How many people even think about this? Do you realize that right now you have 600,000 French Jews in France? 600,000 of them. We're speaking to a rabbi in Eretz Yisrael. It's a French rabbi. B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to try to add him to the team to do specifically lectures for French Jews. Now he told us that there are 600,000 French Jews. Out of the 600,000 French Jews, how many of them do you think actually keep Shabbat? He says at best 100,000. 100,000. What does that mean in simple language? 500,000 are going to Gehenom without leaving. Unless they do Teshuva. Unless they hear some MUSSAR. Unless they actually come back to Hashem and start keeping His mitzvot as He said it, and not as they want it. What do you think, French is bad? America is worse. You have 6.5 million Jews in America at least. Out of that, at best case scenario, 600,000 of them consider themselves religious. The problem is that means that there's about 6 million, 5.5 to 6 million, that are guaranteed eternal Gehenom without coming out because they're Mechalel Shabbat. Mechalel Shabbat Mefaresya doesn't leave Gehenom. It's not a temporary, it's not a prison sentence for 2 years with some probation. Now if that's not bad enough, almost every Jewish male, almost every single one of them, worldwide, is wasting seed on a regular basis. Even if he keeps Shabbat. I heard from a lecture from Rav Mizrahi, somebody told me that he said that a Rosh Yeshiva, that's a, Mechubad, called him, says that wasting seed is an epidemic in the best yeshivot. Not just the best secular schools. It's not just the public schools. He says in the yeshivot, the best ones, the kids are addicted to it. Addicted to pornography. Addicted to wasting seed. Addicted to it. Why? They don't even know how bad it is. The study done in 2017 by this certain organization, Jewish organization, did a study on the modern Orthodox. Modern Orthodox, which means that they consider themselves religious. Problem is, they're not so religious. Why? This statistic said, the study said, that these, out of the 220,000 modern Orthodox, which is a third of the so-called 600,000 religious American Jews, so it's a third of them, a little more than a third. Out of those 220,000, almost 40% don't keep Shabbat. Which means that even the 600,000 number that people say are religious, they're not really so religious. Don't even keep Shabbat. We forgot what religious means. We forgot what religious means. I'm not going to mention his name. But a couple of years ago, we had a problem with Ephraim Goldberg and company because they wanted to bring a missionary to their synagogue so he could destroy more neshamot. They needed help to destroy the neshamot. their heresy on a weekly basis wasn't enough, so they wanted to bring Jesus himself to help destroy more neshamot in Boca Raton. Now, we were fighting in the front lines and the back of the scenes. Front lines, everyone saw the advertising, the campaign, the videos, and so on. Behind the scenes, we were doing a lot of other things. One of them was calling every Gdolado we can find. Anyone that would talk to us, anyone that would pick up the phone, anyone we had a phone number, to get them to sign a letter. One of the Gdolei Ador in America, I'm not going to say his name. I called him, spoke to him, explained to him everything. He says to me the following. I'll never ever forget this. He says, I agree with everything that you're saying. It's Torah. Of course, they're not allowed to bring a missionary to the yeshul. Not even allowed to be within 4 amot, 4 steps of this person, and so on. Everything you're saying is right. I said, okay, great. So you're going to sign the letter? He says, no. Why not? Why not? He says, because you're making one critical mistake. I said, mistake? What? Halakha? He goes, no. Different mistake. I said, what's the mistake? He says, you think modern Orthodoxy is the same religion as you and me. You think we're in the same religion. It's not the same religion. That's why I'm not going to sign the letter. It's of no use. It's no purpose. It's like signing a letter against Christianity. What do they care? He didn't say, no, it's a problem, it's a this. No. Mamash, literally, he said it, it's a different religion. Same how the Gaon Mivina said about Chassidut. Not that Chassidut is a different religion, a lot of good is in there, but point is that sometimes the apple goes bad. The rest of the tree is fine, but there's an apple that goes bad. There's plenty of modern Orthodox that are perfectly fine tzaddikim. But if 40% of them openly admit to be a Mechalel Shabbat, obviously, you see there's a systemic problem. There's a systemic problem. Systemic problem with the teaching, systemic problem with the learning. Almost 50% of them, almost 50%, 49 to be exact, do not believe in Hashgacha Pratit. Do not believe that Hashem is involved in our day-to-day. Rabbeinu Bechaya said that that's worse than atheism. It's worse than atheism. So, Rabotai Karim, we're in a confused world where people simply don't understand the value of being a Jew, don't understand the value of Torah, and don't understand that they could literally buy their olam haba in a second by simply making a commitment. If you have time, you should use it to do KIRUV. You should use it to learn Torah. If you have money, you should use it to do KIRUV. You should use it to publicize Torah. If you have any skill, you should use it to do KIRUV. You should use it to publicize Torah. If you have a breath still in your lungs, you should use it to fulfill the Torah. You should use it to get Am Yisrael back to Hashem Yitbarach, because that's more help than anything else in the world. I know you may want to donate to the monkeys in Rwanda, and it's very, very enticing. And we're contemplating opening a Be'ezrat Hashem at Rwanda right now. Maybe have one of these rich gorillas run it. Batya may start calling Rwanda, start pitching them to donate to us. We may need, listen, they're $4 million richer in the last 24 hours. I don't think we've gotten, no, I know for sure we haven't gotten, what I don't think. I know for sure we haven't gotten $4 million since inception. If you guys want, I could call Be'ezrat Hashem Rwanda Guerrilla Division if you want. But the reality is, Rabotai, there's nothing greater than the Torah. There's nothing greater than the Torah. It can cure misery, it could cure homosexuality, it could cure atheism, it could cure everything in life. But only if you grab onto it and don't let go, regardless of whether it makes sense or not, regardless of whether everybody else likes it or not, regardless of if it makes you the most popular or the least popular, regardless if people tell you not to or people tell you to, regardless. Because Hashem Yitbarach is telling us that's the cure. And if He said it, He means it. He's not changing His mind. Any questions? B'Seder Rabotai, our next shiur, B'ezrat Hashem, is going to be Sunday. It's going to be Sunday. We have a Parashat Tetzaveh. For anyone that hasn't completed reading the parasha, you have the next couple of days. Try to read it before Shabbat. There's a lot of secrets in it. It's about Moshe Rabbeinu, about Am Yisrael. There's a lot of limud. A lot of limud about Parashat Tetzaveh. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve'amen.